The story begins in a certain icy and snowy region. In the middle of the vast white snow, there was a figure sitting cross-legged on the cliff. He laughs, bare-chested, displaying his strong physique, immersing himself in the biting cold. He remains seated in meditation, enduring the wind and snow. After an unknown amount of time, he slowly raises his hand. He spreads his arms, catching the snowflakes swirling in the wind. A voice repeatedly echoes in his head. "My son, rumors about the Jianghu are endangering our family." The young man slowly opens his eyes, awakening from his meditation. He touches his outstretched arm with his other hand. The righteous path, the underworld, divine arts, demonic arts. My son, which side will you choose? If you appear in the Jianghu, the entire world will become your enemy. A solitary battle will begin. But don't forget your ancestors and their sacrifices. Patience, perseverance, these will make you stronger. The young man raises both arms, frantically circulating his energy. The snow around him gathers towards him. An explosion quickly erupts where he sits. The snow, the ice essence, bursts outward. The young man breathes a sigh of relief, smiling as he opens his eyes. Today's training session at Jiaozi Mountain is finally over. Feeling cool, a sudden gust of wind makes him shiver violently. It's so cold, no matter how much you train, you can't get used to the cold wind on Jiaozi Mountain. He quickly gets up and puts on his clothes neatly. Time to go down the mountain. Scene change, a village at the foot of the mountain. We have about 6 months left. If we're frugal, we might last a year. Since the previous patriarch's death, all trade has stopped. We've sold all our valuables, but the situation hasn't improved. This is truly worrying. The young man furrows his brow, lost in thought. After his father's death, the family has quickly declined. That's how the world is. Families that can't adapt disappear. After a moment's thought, he reassures the middle-aged man, "Don't worry, I'll definitely earn money." He then packs his bags and bids farewell to the villagers. An elderly man anxiously asks, "Patriarch, do you really have to go to the Northern Heavenly Alliance?" The young man asks back, "Is there a problem with going there?" The elderly man suggests, "Why don't you travel the vast Jianghu first? You don't necessarily have to go there first." The young man smiles, "I'll travel the Jianghu later. Now is the time to earn a lot of money. I also need to gain experience, learn from major alliances, and complete missions. I'll gain more experience faster that way. I'm 20 years old now. I have to support my family with my own abilities. Don't worry too much, everyone." The middle-aged man waved his hand, "You can do what you want, but let me know your news from time to time." The rest of the crowd also spoke up in unison, "As long as we don't hear any news, we will go look for you, so please write back often. Only participate in the 4th level exam. The higher the level, the more difficult the exam will be." The young man waved his hand, "Goodness, why so worried? Just wait. I'll bring good news soon. If we keep this up, we'll be late. Even though the Northern Heavenly Alliance isn't far, we still need to register on time. It's very cold outside. Everyone, come inside quickly." He then quickly left. The people there watched his back as he left, saying goodbye. "If things get too difficult, come back anytime. We'll be here waiting for your news." The young man, with unwavering determination, set off, moving constantly but still feeling slow. "It's late, I guess I should speed up a little." He then increased his speed, flying like the wind. This air, this wind, it's wonderful. Scene changed to the Northern Heavenly Alliance. A huge crowd gathered there. The young man was also among the crowd. "It's incredibly crowded. I didn't expect so many people to gather here." Just then, a voice called out to him, "Baek Mujin from the Snow Mountain, have you arrived?" The young man excitedly ran forward. "I'm here, Administrator. You're confirming my application for the 4th level, right?" Baek Mujin nodded. "Yes, sir." The people around him were shocked. "What? He's so young, a kid still wet behind the ears registering for the 4th level. He must be from one of the 5 great families." After confirming, the administrator instructed, "Baek Mujin, go inside and see the examiners to check your application." Inside, 3 examiners were seated. As soon as Baek Mujin entered, they began questioning him. "Baek Mujin, is it because of your Seo Baek family background? We've examined your application thoroughly. Records show that a long time ago, Baek Wu from the Baek clan aided the Northern Heavenly Alliance. The number of soldiers isn't specified, so it seems he only brought a small group." Baek Mujin explained, "That was my great-grandfather." The examiner continued, "To be honest, without this documentation, you would have a hard time passing the 4th level exam. I want to hear your real reasons." Baek Mujin spoke frankly without reservation. "I need money, and I apply to gain experience." The 3 were surprised. "Money and experience, what?" Baek Mujin continued, "Also, because this is the strongest force in the Yangtze River region. It's a righteous force that restrains underworld organizations like the 9 Heaven Alliance and the Iron Blood Sect, but the righteous path often pursues a tyrannical approach. Before he died, my father spoke of the Northern Heavenly Alliance like this." The 3 listened attentively. What did he say? Baek Mujin spoke honestly without hiding anything. He said the Northern Heavenly Alliance doesn't discriminate based on background. As long as you're not from the demonic path, people like that gather together, so there are fights almost every day. The 3 examiners frowned. "Fights?" Baek Mujin bowed. Sorry, but that's how my father put it. The examiner waved his hand, telling him to continue. Baek Mujin, with permission, continued. But the most important thing is that they are united under a spirit of righteousness. It's a place where people can live according to their ideals. The old examiner was startled. He thought, righteousness. It's been a long time since I've heard such romantic words. He then said, you understand that the 4th level exam is very difficult, right? Even if you pass the document review, most people are eliminated in the martial arts portion. Baek Mujin nodded. I've heard about that. The old examiner smiled. It seems you're very confident. Baek Mujin smiled without answering, acknowledging the implication. The old examiners then allowed him to proceed to the martial arts arena, who will be in charge of the martial arts portion. I heard the deputy captain of the Tree Sword Corps will be there, but we don't know who it is. If it's them, it'll be difficult for anyone to pass. Baek Mujin stood in the arena, closing his eyes and breathing calmly, waiting. The old examiner watched from below, pondering. No, we have to wait and see. Something feels strange. Soon, someone approached and stepped onto the arena. Seeing who it was, the old examiner couldn't help but be startled. A white-bodied martial artist walked towards Baek Mujin. This person is Kang Yob. Baek Mujin was still standing there with his eyes closed, breathing, and had no reaction. After a moment, he slowly opened his eyes. The two men faced each other, their eyes meeting. The judge then spoke. If you two are ready, then begin the match. Baek Mujin proactively clasped his hands and introduced himself. Kang Yob politely returned the gesture. I am Kang Yob, from the Tree Sword Corps. Before we begin the duel, I have something to ask the judge. Would it be possible for my team members to observe? The old man flatly refused. I don't allow it. You must go back. Kang Yob had no choice but to accept. Another old man exclaimed in doubt. Why refuse? Usually, a few people are allowed to watch. The judge replied, Kang Yob is a highly respected deputy captain. He probably doesn't want his subordinates to see him lose. Even if it's unlikely, one should still be careful, he secretly affirmed to himself. This Baek Mujin is definitely no ordinary person. Baek Mujin stood there observing his opponent, silently analyzing him. Indeed, the aura of someone who has been through countless battles. Kang Yob coldly asked him, you ready? Baek Mujin nodded. As soon as he finished speaking, Kang Yob immediately drew his sword. Unexpectedly, Baek Mujin remained standing still, showing no intention of drawing his sword. This greatly puzzled Kang Yob. You're not going to draw your sword. Baek Mujin was startled. He looked down at the long sword at his waist and thought to himself. There's no need to draw a sword. After a moment's thought, he waved his hand. It's all right, I'm ready. Kang Yob's face crumpled in anger. How presumptuous. The judge was also quite surprised. He's going to fight using only palm techniques. I really can't understand. Does he mean his opponent isn't worthy of his sword? Does he dare to look down on Kang Yob like that? Oh well, it's his choice anyway. Kang Yob proactively lunged forward to attack, but still reminded him, then be careful. A swift and powerful sword strike aimed straight at Baek Mujin's head. Baek Mujin didn't just stand there to die, he actively retreated and dodged. The distance between him and the sword tip could only be measured in millimeters. Kang Yob snorted coldly after his attack failed. He then continued to swing his sword repeatedly. Baek Mujin on the opposite side similarly weaved and dodged every strike. The assistant judge watching from below couldn't help but exclaim, the dodging is truly skillful. The judge was stunned, thinking to himself, it's not just skillful, it's effortless dodging. The seasoned warrior on the stage was furious. Let's see how long you can dodge. He leaped into the air, using all his strength to strike again. Baek Mujin easily dodged again. More than that, one arm was placed before his chest. From his arm, chi erupted immediately afterwards. A terrible cold air quickly spread around. The crowd of supervisors were shocked. What was this? What was this cold air? Baek Mujin on the stage suddenly retracted his hand. Oh, right, I need to restrain myself. Kang Yob was shocked, his eyes wide in disbelief. He then actively retreated, increasing the distance. Cold energy still lingered on his chest. The judges secretly admired him. Amazing, the victory is decided. Kang Yob unwillingly roared, take this. He charged again, attempting to attack. Baek Mujin was very puzzled. What the heck, wasn't it over? Why was he still charging? Despite Kang Yob's frantic attacks, he couldn't even touch a hair on Baek Mujin's head. The more Kang Yob fought, the more frustrated he became. He wasn't from a prominent family. It was obvious he had just entered the Jianhu. How could he dodge all my sword techniques? Baek Mujin, continuously dodging, began to irritate him. Does defeating the opponent truly mean the end? If so, then I'll have to do it. Thinking this, he raised his sword to block his opponent's long sword. Then he forcefully pressed it down to the ground. Then he flicked it up, causing Kang Yob to lose his balance. Kang Yob was even more furious. He only used the scabbard to block my attack. What was with that bright expression? Kang Yob's sword was repeatedly blocked by Baek Mujin's hilt. The more Baek Mujin fought, the more excited he became. Amazing, this is the feeling I sought while training on Jiaozi Mountain. Kang Yob, furious and scowling, roared again, take this. Baek Mujin's face also tightened. Chi quickly gathered in his palm. Even so, he still had limits. He knew the opponent wasn't an enemy, so he would end it gently. Before attacking, he warned his opponent to be careful. His figure then vanished. Then, he suddenly appeared behind him and struck him with a palm strike. Kang Yob was sent flying by this palm strike, letting out a miserable cry. This palm strike directly sent him flying off the stage, hitting the wall. Baek Mujin's face was full of helplessness. I tried to restrain myself, but it was still a bit too strong. The three supervisors were all gaping, momentarily not knowing what to say. Kang Yob writhed on the ground, clutching his shoulder and groaning in pain. The judges once again confirmed that Baek Mujin was no ordinary warrior. He was a true master. Kang Yob unwillingly gritted his teeth and glared at Baek Mujin. He then leaped towards Baek Mujin, attempting to attack again. Baek Mujin's face now clearly showed displeasure. The judges below shouted for him to stop, but Kang Yob ignored them all, quickly arriving before Baek Mujin again. But before he could attack again, his body suddenly became unsteady, then collapsed in front of Baek Mujin. He just passed out on the spot. The people below hurriedly ran up to see. Vice Captain Kang, you okay? Wake up quickly. Baek Mujin lowered his head and looked at the other man. A gruesome, bloody scene suddenly flashed in his mind. He closed his eyes and sighed. This is just the beginning. He explained to the crowd, I only used enough internal force to knock him out. He'll wake up soon. The supervisor was even more shocked. He's already a master and he can still control his internal energy. Who is he? Kang Yob was then taken to the medical room for treatment. Should we escort the deputy captain back to the Tree Sword Corps? No, that might cause misunderstandings. Let's take him to the infirmary and report to his captain. Kang Yob had woken up, but he lay there like a lost soul, crying like a child from shame. The supervisor reminded them, this was a fair fight, though the fight lasted longer than usual given their martial arts levels. Someone nearby wondered, I wonder what martial art Baek Mujin used. It seemed like ice-type martial arts. The supervisor was startled, ice-type martial arts. A moment later, he went to see Baek Mujin. Welcome, Baek Warrior. Let me introduce myself. I'm Lee Yeonseong from the Board of Executives. Baek Mujin bowed. How should I address you? The old man patted him on the shoulder. Just call me senior. I know you held back in the fight. But Kang Yob probably acted that way because of shame. Kang Yob probably knew the outcome was decided. He's not a villain, so don't worry about it. You can visit him later. I still have to report to my superiors, but you've passed. It seems the Northern Heavenly Alliance has gained a new talent. Baek Mujin smiled. Thank you, sir. Lee Yeonseong exclaimed, your martial arts are extraordinary. It's not from the old Valley of Ice, is it? Baek Mujin was stunned. The old Valley of Ice. This is the first time I've heard that name. I only learned martial arts from my family. He secretly sighed. The righteous path really isn't easy to accept differences. Lee Yeonseong nodded. That's true. If it were demonic martial arts, you wouldn't dare use it in front of us. However, this characteristic is easily misunderstood. Baek Mujin asked, that's right. If someone suspects, what should I say? Lee Yeonseong fell into thought. If someone suspects, demonic martial arts are very sensitive. If misunderstood, it would be very difficult. After thinking for a while, he said, just say you used Painax ginseng. That's possible. Baek Mujin suddenly understood. I understand. That's indeed a reasonable answer. Lee Yeonseong was surprised. Reasonable how? Baek Mujin's expression was calm. Yes, because I really did eat it. Lee Yeonseong was once again shocked into a daze. He didn't linger, immediately heading outside. That's a clever joke. Get some rest. I'll come talk to you after I finish processing the documents. Baek Mujin scratched his head. The joke, why wouldn't he believe me? After returning, Lee Yeonseong and his subordinates began to research. We've found his martial art. It's very similar to ice-type martial arts. We have little information about the Baek clan in the Snow Mountain, so it's difficult to determine. Unexpectedly, someone like him appeared. Perhaps we should invite the elders who know about the Baek clan. Lee Yeonseong agreed. That's right. Then we'll have to wait. In the meantime, let's send someone to investigate around the Snow Mountain. If anything goes wrong, we'll be responsible. So let's investigate secretly. Who's next? The other person quickly brought out the list. 2 applicants for 5th grade martial artists, Seomun Gyuk and Ju Jeon. Lee Yeonseong was a little surprised. Seomun Gyuk, you mean the second young master of the Seomun clan, the one often rumored in Jianghu. This year is full of extraordinary people. That Baek Mujin, how strong do you think he is? It seems he didn't use his full strength. The other person replied, hard to say. Kang Yob isn't weak. Perhaps even the captains would have difficulty facing him. Lee Yeonseong ordered, we don't know his true strength yet, so let's keep this a secret for now. Pay more attention to him. Waiting for the other person to leave, he picked up the list again and pondered. I'm someone who specializes in information processing, yet I've never heard of the Baek clan from the Snow Mountain. Based on his abilities, he'll likely be very useful. We can use him as an informant. He will help us investigate the underworld or problematic gangs. If properly cultivated, he will be very valuable. Scene change to the medicine hall. Kang Yob's shoulders are now covered in acupuncture needles. The imprint of Baek Mujin's hand is still clearly visible, showing no sign of fading. Someone came to ask how he felt after being defeated by the candidate. Kang Yob was displeased. What else? It's truly embarrassing. The person asked again. I heard he uses ice-based martial arts. What did it feel like? Kang Yob explained. He's very strong, but thinking back, the feeling of his ice-based technique was quite strange. I just felt my body heavy, like I was sinking in snow. That's all. I guess he thought I was weak, so he held back. That's why I recovered so quickly. I really have to thank him. The person exclaimed. The board of executives wants me to investigate his martial arts. Regardless, I have to fight him personally. Defeated one, you should rest. Your team leader will take over for you. Unexpectedly, Kang Yob stopped him. Let someone else go. I think he's stronger than that team leader. The team leader, angry and disbelieving, stormed out, muttering incoherently. The patriarch sighed. Only after defeat will one realize, just like me. A deputy supervisor came to find Baek Mujin. Call for a servant if you need anything. You can eat anything here, but no alcohol. Baek Mujin went and sat down on a chair, saying nothing. The person continued. I was truly impressed watching your martial arts match. Baek Mujin gave a perfunctory reply, showing no desire to prolong the conversation. The other person sighed inwardly. It's difficult to probe him. After a long pause, he spoke again. This place was used by the White Sword before. Quite a coincidence, isn't it? I mean, someone from the Baek clan was at the place where the White Sword once was. Even your sword is quite similar to theirs, although you haven't drawn it yet. Baek Mujin, upon hearing this, reached for his long sword. The middle-aged man froze, sighing inwardly. What did I just say? He then took his leave. Before leaving, he suddenly remembered something. Oh, and what was that martial arts technique you used earlier? It was so powerful that even the deputy captain of the Tree Sword Corps couldn't withstand it. Baek Mujin did not hide it and said it was bark hoa. Palm, middle-aged man in a daze, white flower palm star. This is the first time I've heard of this palm technique. Also, if you're selected, there will be a waiting period, and you'll be very busy during that time. Baek Mujin asked, what will I be doing during that time? The middle-aged man explained, nothing specific, it's just that team leaders will come to recruit you, or someone will want to meet you. After all, you just defeated the deputy captain of the Tree Sword Corps. Not to mention, you won decisively. There's no way the other deputy captains will let that slide. Even the team leaders will get involved. It might get so chaotic that even the alliance leader will have to step in. Baek Mujin was astonished. What do you mean? The middle-aged man explained, I mean, martial arts competitions are common here, and newcomers often face trouble. Many will want to teach a newbie like you. Baek Mujin looked at him doubtfully. Have you ever done that? The middle-aged man chuckled. Me, never. I always avoid that. It may sound like a justification, but for us on the board of executives, using our brains is much more advantageous than brute force. After all, fighting is fighting, no matter how you do it. All right, congratulations on joining the Northern Heavenly Alliance. I'll go now, get some rest. He then quickly left without further ado. Baek Mujin clenched his fist, silently resolving. Martial arts competitions, I'm always ready. He was sitting there when he suddenly sensed something amiss. Turning around, he saw a figure standing there. A man around 30 years old wearing orange clothes appeared before his eyes. The two looked at each other, and for a moment no one said anything. After a while, the other man asked Baek Mujin, you from the White Sword? Seeing Baek Mujin's denial, he was surprised. Then why are you here? Baek Mujin explained, I'm waiting for the final results of the application. The other man exclaimed with interest, so you passed the application process. Impressive, I'm Seo Mun-guk. Baek Mujin introduced himself as well. Seo Mun-guk thought to himself, this guy must be incredibly lucky. He looks like a cat. But wait, this unassuming guy doesn't know my reputation. He went and sat down in a chair opposite Baek Mujin. So there are two of us who passed the exam. I heard that those waiting in this area are all 5th or 4th rank. Baek Mujin was surprised. 2 people is a lot, isn't it? Seo Mun-guk nodded. That's right, 4th and 5th ranks rarely apply, and even if they do, they rarely pass. 2 people is a lot, most join at the 7th and 8th ranks. Baek Mujin nodded. I understand. Seo Mun-guk asked, where are you from? Baek Huin. Hearing him mention the Snow Mountain, Seo Mun-guk was stunned. The Snow Mountain, if you don't mind, could you tell me if there are any schools there? Baek Mujin calmly replied, it's the Snow Mountain Baek clan. The atmosphere suddenly fell silent, because Seo Mun-guk had never heard of this clan. But he couldn't show too much surprise, so he feigned nonchalance. Oh, so it's the Snow Mountain Baek clan? Baek Mujin asked, have you heard of it? Seo Mun-guk exclaimed, truly, I've never heard of it. The Snow Mountain Baek clan. I'm confident in my knowledge of Murim, but this is the first time I've heard that name. Baek Mujin wasn't disappointed. Instead, he smiled. That's normal. Seo Mun-guk asked, you don't have any injuries? Baek Huin, did you overwhelm your opponent, or were you exempted from the martial arts competition? Baek Mujin replied, I fought someone from the Tree Sword Corps. I assume you easily defeated your opponent as well, Seo Mun-huin. Seo Mun-guk laughed loudly. Haha, me, that's right. Is this your first time entering the Jianghu? Baek Huin. Have you heard of the Seo Mun clan? Baek Mujin nodded. I've heard of it. Seo Mun-guk was extremely surprised. What kind of reaction is that? He should be wide-eyed and incredibly astonished. Thinking this, he asked again, it seems you only heard of it, but don't know much, right? Baek Mu-jin nodded, that's right, I've only heard of it, but I don't know the details. Seo Mun-guk was so excited his mouth dropped open. You don't know about the 5 great families. Baek Mu-jin remained calm. The 5 great families. Seo Mun-guk excitedly rushed closer. You don't really know. He couldn't understand how this unassuming guy passed the application process. The two then talked about the 5 great families. Baek Mu-jin listed several names. The renowned Namgung clan, yes, that's one of the 5 great families. And the Jaegel clan. Seo Mun-guk sighed. You're joking. Besides the Sugar Liang family, who else is outstanding in that clan? Baek Mu-jin mentioned, what about the Sama clan? Seo Mun-guk stopped him. Again, don't mention those famous clans from the 3 Kingdoms period. Baek Mu-jin continued to list names like the Huangbo clan, the Hebei Bang family, and the Dokgo clan. Seo Mun-guk felt increasingly helpless. How can you know nothing about the Jianghu? It's infuriating. Baek Mu-jin nodded. Well, I really don't know. Seo Mun-guk said sharply, listen carefully, the renowned Namgung clan, the Dokgo clan, the Sichuan Tang clan, the Beekli clan, and our Seo Mun clan are the 5 great clans of this era. Baek Mu-jin suddenly realized, oh, so that's it. Seo Mun-guk angrily thought, he should at least show some surprise, this guy is so annoying. So who did you fight in the Tree Sword Corps? Baek Mu-jin pondered, I don't remember exactly. Seo Mun-guk shouted, what? Try to remember, you just finished fighting, and you already forgot. After thinking for a while, Baek Mu-jin finally remembered, oh, I remember now, it was Jeon Yob, no, Kang Yob. Seo Mun-guk broke into a sweat. Kang Yob, the deputy captain of the Tree Sword Corps. You beat him? Seo was shocked, I'm not sure I could beat him. But wait, why did this guy have to fight the deputy captain? I have to check it myself, there's nothing to do now anyway. Thinking of this, he stood up, let's compete a bit. Baek Mu-jin also stood up. Alright. Seo Mun-guk swung his fan, is it alright if I use my iron thread? Baek Mu-jin waved his hand, go ahead. Seo Mun-guk was doubtful, you intend to use only your bare hands. Baek Mu-jin asked back, is there a problem? Seo Mun-guk felt insulted, it seems I misjudged you. I thought you were a courteous person, but it turns out you're just reckless. Saying so, he lunged forward, initiating the attack. Baek Mu-jin leaned back, dodging the fan. Seo Mun-guk didn't stop, continuing to swing his fan. But no matter how he swung, Baek Mu-jin dodged every attack. After a series of unsuccessful attacks, Seo Mun-guk roared, channeling his inner energy. A powerful fan strike imbued with chi slashed out. Baek Mu-jin leaped up on his toes, the fan blade narrowly missing his neck. But ultimately, he still managed to evade it by stepping back. Seo Mun-guk now looked at his opponent with different eyes. He thought his martial arts were as flamboyant as his words, but unexpectedly, they were so refined. The Baek clan's striding art is truly peculiar. It looks like he's gliding across the ground. Thus, he quickly lunged again. Baek Mu-jin continued to use his evasion techniques. Seo Mun-guk angrily shouted, how long do you intend to keep dodging? Following his shout, a black curtain enveloped Baek Mu-jin. Seo Mun-guk intended to obscure his vision to find an opening. Quickly, he found an opportunity. He retracted his fan and swung his hand, aiming a strike at his opponent's abdomen. But unexpectedly, even in that critical moment, Baek Mu-jin managed to evade the strike. Seo Mun-guk couldn't believe it, I didn't hit him. Baek Mu-jin inwardly marveled, this guy must have trained hard, but his inner energy is still lacking. Seo Mun-guk was unwilling to accept defeat. Once again, gritting his teeth, he poured his chi into the iron thread and attacked. The tip of the iron thread now turned golden due to the concentrated chi. Baek Mu-jin didn't dodge this time, he raised his hand to block it. This made Seo Mun-guk extremely astonished. He blocked my iron thread with his bare hand. Is he crazy? I will pierce your hand. Don't regret it. Baek Mu-jin's blade and hand collided instantly. A wave of cold air immediately emanated from Baek Mu-jin's arm. He gently placed his hand on the iron thread, then swung his arm with incredible speed. Before Seo Mun-guk could react, his wrist was seized. He recovered, clenched his other fist, and continued his attack. Baek Mu-jin similarly raised his other hand to block. Seo Mun-guk was forced to retreat. Just as he regained his balance, his body shuddered. His iron thread was frozen solid. Not daring to be careless, he immediately released and threw away the iron thread. He clutched his arm in pain, gasping for breath, looking quite distressed. Baek Mu-jin bent down, picked up the iron thread, and examined it. I thought there might be a hidden weapon, it's just ordinary iron thread. Don't pretend anymore, it seems you've given it your all. Seo Mun-guk took back the iron thread, his face clearly showing displeasure. Inwardly, he cursed, damn it, who would have thought someone would use ice-based techniques? The two then sat back down at the table. Seo Mun-guk glanced at his opponent and asked, Brother Bai, your martial arts are truly profound. At this point, he fell into thought, how could he be so strong? And that innocent look, if he's that strong, his eyes should radiate power. This is truly annoying. Just then, someone else entered. You two passed the selection round. The person, his face bruised, introduced himself. I am Ju Jeon. Baek Mujin gestured in invitation. You passed the selection too. Please wait over there. Ju Jeon turned to Seomun Gyuk. And this brother is? Baek Mujin quickly introduced. This is Seomun Gyuk of the Seomun family, one of the 5 great families. Seomun Gyuk angrily shouted, Enough, brother Bai, why are you introducing me? Ju Jeon was astonished to learn his identity. I never expected to meet a Seomun Mayan here. It's truly an honor. Seomun Gyuk was secretly pleased. Asterisk, that's the proper reaction. Asterisk, he thought. He waved his hand with a nonchalant air. Pleased to meet you. Ju Jeon asked, Oh, but how come you two are unharmed? I almost didn't make it. Baek Mujin chuckled and gave a brief explanation. After a while, the examiner returned. You, Seomun Gyuk and Ju Jeon, passed the 5th grade exam. Go out. You, Baek Mujin, passed the 4th grade exam and should wait. Ju Jeon was astonished. You're 4th grade? That's unbelievable. Seomun Gyuk began piecing things together in his head. Asterisk, a 4th grade contender fought the deputy captain and came out unscathed. His martial arts are truly extraordinary. Baek Mujin clasped his hands in farewell to the people. Night quickly fell. Baek Mujin was led to a room to rest. He stood in the courtyard, looking up at the bright moon. So the first day is over. I don't know what will happen in the coming days. He then jumped onto the rooftop to enjoy the breeze. He held a letter in his hand, lost in thought. The letter read, My son. One day, when you leave Jersey Mountain, remember what your father has told you in this letter. This is not just a matter between your father and you, but also a matter concerning the whole clan. Our clan possesses the poison sect martial art, the Baek Flame divine arts. It's fundamentally different from the cultivation path of the orthodox sects, but it cannot therefore be called a demonic art. However, our clan alone cannot single-handedly change the vigilance of the Murim, the orthodox path. As a result, our clan moved to the Snow Mountain, a retreat from the Jianghu. We have quietly existed in the ice and snow, generation after generation. Each patriarch left behind legacies and meticulous preparations for the next generation. Some went to the edge of the Manjiang Valley of Mount Gyeongsan in the Tian Shan Mountains and brought back snow ginseng. Others went to the South Sea and found black iron to forge fine swords. Not only that, some even brought back a poison avoidance ring, rarer than a magical sword. Hoping for the prosperity of future generations, the patriarchs tirelessly searched for treasures and relentlessly hoped. All believed that one day, a successor inheriting these legacies would bring glory to the clan. Isn't that wonderful? My predecessors and I have been so stubborn, and we are proud of that stubbornness. You must engrave these words in your heart and live up to this aspiration. Because we don't ask anything from you. What we desire, what has made us endure for generations, is the hope that one day our clan will rise and become a dragon. I have thought long and hard about whether I should bear this responsibility or leave it to you, who possesses far greater talent than I do. But I no longer hesitate. Just as your great-grandfather entrusted hope to me, I have decided to trust you. Therefore, all the legacies of our ancestors and this sacred mission belong to you, Mujin. Do your best not to disappoint our expectations. This incompetent father hopes that one day you will rule the world. Then, whether I am in the divine realm or hell, I will always be waiting for your news. After reading, he closed his eyes and sighed. How could his father leave behind such moving words? He reached into his clothes and took out a ring, then put it on his finger. Light immediately emanated from the ring. He closed his eyes, concentrating and beginning to sense. A beam of light quickly shot out from the ring. The beam of light gradually separated into flowers. Very quickly, a cluster of flowers brightly flew into the air. Baek Mujin smiled contentedly as he watched the cluster of flowers fly away. You will spread your wings freely and become stronger than anyone. The next morning, in the dining hall, a sumptuous meal was laid out on the table. Ju Jeon sat with the 2 Baek Mujins, extremely excited. The feast was incredibly lavish. Seomun Gyuk exclaimed, with such a lavish feast, we'll probably have to work extra hard later. Ju Jeon replied, but after such treatment, working hard is only reasonable. But at this rate, brother Seomun must have enjoyed a lot. Brother Mujin, eat naturally too. It's really embarrassing for me to eat alone. Baek Mujin didn't say much, immediately started chopsticks. Seomun Gyuk asked him, Brother Mujin, where are you going? With your strength, you must be invited to many places. Baek Mujin asked back, Seomun Hyung, tell me which team makes the most money. The 2 Seomun Gyuks looked at each other in astonishment. Money? You came to the Northern Heavenly Alliance to make money. Baek Mujin nodded. So what? It's convenient for me. Seomun Gyuk replied, of course there are consequences. With your martial arts skills, joining our Seomun family would offer treatment several dozen times higher than here. But being a retainer of a family is a bit inconvenient and you can't join a sect either, since your family also practices martial arts. So what's your position in the Baek clan? I guess you're a junior patriarch. Baek Mujin calmly replied that he was the patriarch. The 2 were astonished again. Seomun Gyuk secretly sighed in his heart. It seems his family is having difficulties, so he came to the Northern Heavenly Alliance. The three finished eating and left, chatting as they went. Hunter, in the Northern Heavenly Alliance, there are people called hunters. They specialize in eliminating evilders and receiving rewards. Think about it, to rule a region, you must maintain order. Initially, the powers shared lists of murderers who had escaped or troublemakers. But now it's become a list of assassins. The more famous underworld masters you eliminate, the more rewards you'll get. Furthermore, this isn't a position-related task, so it won't affect your team choice. If you're interested, look into it. Baek Mujin smiled. Hunter, sounds interesting. Seo Mun-gyuk shouted, what's interesting about it? It's incredibly hard work, you might not catch them, and your efforts will be wasted. Not to mention, do you think they'll just sit there waiting for you? And don't forget their martial arts skills, many hunters have died on the job. Why do you think the Northern Heavenly Alliance offers such high rewards? Because they have many enemies. Baek Mujin nodded, I'll keep that in mind. He then excitedly left. It's really interesting, I have to look into this. Seo Mun-gyuk called out loudly, Brother Mujin, you really intend to become a hunter? That's not right, is it? Ju Jorn added, it seems he's made up his mind. Scene changed to the Hidden Shadow Pavilion, a mysterious organization possessing top-tier assassins. To deal with an applicant, you want us to send our top assassins. You confirm this? Yes. This is Jiu Iwan, the Deputy Pavilion Master of the Hidden Shadow Pavilion. Baek Mujin is that strong? Did you witness it yourself? The other person confirmed, very strong. The Vice-Captain of the Tree Sword Corps, Kang Yob, was defeated before he could react. Jiu Iwan pondered, Kang Yob is 4th class, right? Then sending 2 second-class people should suffice. The other person shook his head, I'm afraid that's not enough. When facing Kang Yob, he hadn't even fully displayed his martial arts. Moreover, the executive board wants to ensure victory. Jiu Iwan stroked his chin, deep in thought. His intention is not to reveal this regardless of victory or defeat, therefore, choosing someone from the Hidden Shadow Pavilion is correct, but this is also incredibly troublesome. After a moment's thought, he said, right, I'll send someone, but we won't reveal any information. My people wear masks, right? You don't need to doubt my people's abilities. Who would dare to doubt them? I'll see you later. After the other person left, Jiu Iwan called towards a corner of the room, Jang Jion, are you interested in trying? Seeing no response, he spoke again, unwilling. Jang Jion asked, just this, do you need me to do it? Jiu Iwan stood up, just this, yes, don't you understand the issue? You represent our Hidden Shadow Pavilion. This will still be reported to the higher-ups even if it's not revealed to the public, so be careful. Jang Jion sighed, as you say. Jiu Iwan waved his hand, sighing, why are you so stubborn? Right, prepare to go. If you happen to lose, the Pavilion Master and I will be severely affected. You're my most trusted bodyguard. If you lose, I'll truly lose face. Why don't you say anything? Jang Jion walked out. That Baek Mujin, do you want me to kill him? Jiu Iwan waved his hand, chuckling, now, what face would we have left? He's just an applicant, Jang Jion said coldly, then what do you want me to do? Jiu Iwan sighed, this request is really troublesome, just make sure the executive board never dares to make such a request again. Jang Jion's face turned serious, understood. He immediately left for his mission. Jiu Iwan snorted coldly, the Hidden Shadow Pavilion having to deal with an applicant, Baek Mujin will certainly not hear that name again. Scene changed to Baek Mujin, perhaps a star rating reassessment is necessary. Lee Yeonseong explained, are you only at the 4th level? The Kang Yob you easily defeated is a 4th level martial artist. Baek Mujin woke up, is that so? Who is the opponent this time? Lee Yeonseong replied, I only know he's a 1st grade martial artist, I don't know anything else. Don't tell me you're planning to use only your Changfa again this time. They have sent a request to Hidden Shadow Pavilion. I heard that the fighters of Hidden Shadow Pavilion are no different from assassins. Baek Mujin's expression remained calm, showing no worry whatsoever. This made Lee Yeonseong jump up in excitement. I'm more nervous than you are. They suddenly requested a 1st grade martial artist. The higher-ups want to observe your strength to offer suitable treatment. I agree with this, so I hope you understand. Baek Mujin didn't seem to care much. He asked, then, if I defeat the 1st grade martial artist, who's next? I feel like I'm being challenged to an endless fight. If I defeat a 1st grade martial artist, won't I have to fight someone stronger next? Lee Yeonseong replied, if that's the case, I don't think there will be anyone else for a while. If you defeat the 1st grade martial artist, the alliance leader himself will consider your case. We won't have the authority anymore. The duel will take place at the Longhu Kwan, a place for holding secret duels. Baek Mujin lowered his head, looking at his sword, and sighed inwardly. Is there anything to look forward to? Let's go and find out, shall we? The two quickly went inside, where someone was already waiting. Lee Yeonseong addressed the other party, the executive board, this is Baek Mujin. The other person interrupted, save the greetings, former Deputy Pavilion Master, bring in your opponent. The Deputy Pavilion Master quickly opened the door. The people were puzzled, not seeing anyone. What, isn't he here yet? Only Baek Mujin frowned, seemingly sensing something. Jang Jion transformed into a shadow and flitted around the room. After a while, he landed in front of Baek Mujin. His figure appeared, with a ferocious face staring intently at Baek Mu-jin. Facing that expression, Baek Mu-jin remained calm, even offering a friendly smile. Both sides had fully appeared before everyone. Lee Yeon-seong was shocked inwardly. His appearance was silent and unconscious. Top-class assassin is indeed different, like a shadow. The executive board introduces, this is the first-level martial artist of the Hidden Shadow Pavilion. Because he is on a mission, it is not convenient to reveal his identity as a white martial artist. Please understand. Baek Mu-jin looked at his opponent, deep in thought. Appearing without warning, assassins are truly different. The pavilion master quickly stepped back, making way for them. The result of this duel will determine your rank, though the match was arranged suddenly. I hope you do your best. Baek Mu-jin nodded. I'm always ready to duel. Jang Ji-on inwardly snorted coldly. How arrogant. The pavilion master said nothing more, waving his hand to signal the start. Lee Yeon-seong's worried expression was clear, and he couldn't help but speak. After all, it's a duel. I hope neither of you gets hurt. Jang Ji-on nodded, as if agreeing. Immediately, he transformed into dark energy and disappeared again. The pavilion master, seeing the two beside him so agitated, told them to be quiet. The deputy pavilion master secretly thought to himself, what kind of martial art can hide oneself so silently and unconsciously? The pavilion master is also having his own thoughts. This guy is really strange. He wasn't worried. Instead, he smiled. What's the meaning of this? Jang Ji-on quickly vanished from Baek Mu-jin's sight. He was now hiding in some dark corner of the room. I will let you understand what it means to know but be unable to avoid. He quickly left his position again and launched an attack. Baek Mu-jin remained motionless throughout. Instead of attacking immediately, Jang Ji-on hid in another corner. He was utterly perplexed. He was smiling. Is he petrified with fear? Baek Mu-jin suddenly raised his hand. This action was completely beyond the comprehension of everyone present. Everyone was dumbfounded. What is he doing? Jang Ji-on coldly snorted. He didn't know what Baek Mu-jin intended, but he would try to find out. Several petals began to appear on Baek Mu-jin's palm. The onlookers gasped at this sight. More and more petals appeared, gradually forming countless flowers. Baek Mu-jin flung his hand, scattering the flowers to the ground. A dazzling white light quickly emanated from around him. The white light spread towards the onlookers, but nothing happened. This made Jang Ji-on think it was a useless technique. He didn't hesitate and swiftly charged forward. Unbeknownst to him, the seemingly useless technique was revealing his position. Lee Yeon-seong mused to himself. The thin layer of ice on the ground caused the opponent to leave footprints, rendering his concealment ineffective. After a period of movement, Jang Ji-on finally realized. So it's the Ice Master, the damn board of executives. Why didn't you warn them? But Baek Mu-jin turned his head to glance at him. The young man angrily cursed, damn it. He quickly jumped, avoiding movement on the ground. He thrust his sword directly at Baek Mu-jin. Unexpectedly, Baek Mu-jin simply raised his hand. Jang Ji-on's sword blade was easily caught bare-handed. This made him break out in a cold sweat. He's stopping my sword with just 2 fingers. Cold energy quickly spread from Baek Mu-jin's hand, attempting to travel through the sword. Jang Ji-on realized his intention and immediately retracted his sword. He once again turned into a dark shadow and disappeared. This time the target is the back of Baek Mu-jin's neck. Seeing him actually using his killer move, the crowd immediately tensed up and quickly stopped. But unexpectedly, Baek Mu-jin didn't even turn around. With a slight dodge, he avoided the fatal blow. Jang Ji-on's repeated failures fueled his frustration. He swung his sword countless times, but none of his attacks landed. A playful smile still lingered on Baek Mu-jin's lips. Jang Ji-on, mid-attack, suddenly slipped. He then retreated to regain his balance. Baek Mu-jin didn't miss the opportunity, charging forward. He unleashed a flurry of punches and headbutts. Jang Ji-on, dodging the attacks, was shocked. Just his hands, how can they be so sharp? He could clearly see that Baek Mu-jin's hands were now covered in a layer of ice. He didn't dare let his opponent touch him, desperately avoiding every attack. After a moment, he found an opening and swung his sword downwards. Baek Mu-jin reacted swiftly, raising his sword to block. To block this attack, he drew his long sword halfway. But it wasn't fully drawn. Jang Ji-on's face was now tense with utmost concentration. He no longer dared to underestimate his opponent. The deputy pavilion master, watching from the side, was wide-mouthed, remembering Kang Yog's words. At that time, he didn't believe it and was furious. But now, he couldn't deny Baek Mu-jin's incredible strength. No matter how hard Jang Ji-on tried, he couldn't overwhelm Baek Mu-jin. Instead, he was sent flying backward by the recoil. His figure once again dissolved into a dark shadow. Baek Mu-jin turned, sheathed his sword, and showed no intention of pursuing. Jang Ji-on's sword-holding arm trembled slightly. Such profound inner strength, just one touch felt like my arm was about to shatter. Concealment was useless now. He gave up on assassination and stepped out calmly. He decisively swung his sword, meeting his opponent's gaze. Care to try my swordsmanship? Baek Mu-jin didn't reply, simply raising his sword. Finally, he drew his long sword from its sheath. Jang Ji-on inwardly sighed. Finally, that arrogant fellow draws his sword. Baek Mujin stood there, proudly facing his opponent. Come. Jang Jion didn't say much, just walked over gently. He didn't attack right away but ran around Baek Mujin, wanting to distract him. Baek Mujin let him do as he pleased, remaining still. As soon as his opponent attacked, he raised his sword to block. No matter how Jang Jion attacked, Baek Mujin easily parried each blow. After a while, seizing his opportunity, he leaped and slashed with a powerful chi-infused strike. Baek Mujin remained calm and unafraid. Li Yeonseon involuntarily exclaimed, "That's dangerous." As the sword energy neared, Baek Mujin wildly slashed. Cold air spread continuously. In an instant, a massive amount of ice essence erupted from the ground. The onlookers were all stunned. What is this? An ice wall? The sword energy was blocked by the ice wall. He then leaped into the air. His long sword aimed straight at his opponent. It seemed Jang Jion could block this attack, but no. Baek Mujin suddenly twisted his wrist, causing the long sword to spin. Jang Jion's sword was knocked from his hand. He stared blankly at his hand. This is impossible. Both then landed. Baek Mujin didn't stop. He raised his sword scabbard and immediately struck his opponent hard on the shoulder. Jang Jion, hit hard, immediately fell to his knees. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't stand up against Baek Mujin's strength. A wave of terror washed over him. It felt like a massive glacier was pressing down on him. I really cannot move. Okay, Baek Mujin reminded, I will withdraw my move now. And sheathed his sword. Jang Jion lay breathless and powerless on the ground. Baek Mujin satisfied sword. Again, Jang Jion bowed his head extremely unwillingly. I have never failed so completely. Li Yeonseon confirmed in his heart, Baek Mujin was truly a monster. On the arena, Baek Mujin helped Jang Jion to his feet. Senior, it seems I've overstepped. I'm unfamiliar with the rules, and my manners were lacking. Please forgive me. Jang Jion stood up and sighed. He didn't expect that Bai Xiaoxiao, who was so young, had already reached this level of cultivation. I lost with conviction. Baek Mujin nodded. Thank you, senior. I've learned a great deal. Jang Jion clasped his hands in return. No, I should be the one saying that. Witnessing your swordsmanship truly broadened my horizons. He then quickly left. The pavilion master approached. My apologies, I am Wu Taizhong, of the executive board. Baek Mujin clasped his hands in greeting. Wu Taizhong's attitude changed, becoming very courteous. Welcome, Baek Hyo Hyop, to the Northern Heavenly Alliance. Scene change, Sacred Fire Palace. Young Palace Master, where is the young Palace Master? Where is he? Seeing their urgency, a nervous person replied. The young Palace Master said he wanted to practice more. A middle-aged man shouted angrily. How many times have I told him, practicing outside the palace again? That brat's going to cause trouble again. Scene change, outside the forest. A group of people rode their horses at full speed. Those behind them ran anxiously. Oh my god, the Palace Master will kill us this time. Young Palace Master, what trouble have you caused this time? The Palace Master won't let you off. The young man coldly snorted. How can I get stronger staying cooped up in the palace? Only by confronting new masters can I grow quickly. I want to be even stronger, then father will be pleased. Baek Mujin returned, and the two Seomun Gyuks rushed over curiously. What's going on? Where have you been? Baek Mujin felt conflicted. They told me not to say anything. What should I do? Seeing his stunned expression, they pressed further. Tell us, why did an official suddenly call you? Baek Mujin scratched his head and smiled. Nothing, just some instructions. Seomun Gyuk coldly snorted. Are you trying to trick me? Was it about the secret competition? Baek Mujin was stunned that he had guessed correctly. They continued to coax him. We're close friends. Why are you hiding it from us? We're very tight-lipped. Just tell us. Baek Mujin was puzzled. Do I look suspicious? Seomun Gyuk explained. Let me show you. Your nose is wet, but it's not raining, so you must have used ice magic. And, let me continue. Your face is glowing and slightly flushed. It was the same last time you fought me. Your pale face suddenly became radiant. This time must be similar. Don't you realize, after every competition, you feel excited, so your face changes. Anyone can see that. It's your natural reaction. Baek Mujin widened his eyes. Innate. He couldn't hide it anymore and had to admit it. Yes, I participated in a secret competition, but I'm not allowed to reveal the results or details. Seomun Gyuk sighed. What a pity. I worked so hard to get this for you. He then pulled out a letter. This is a list of the region's villains. Catching them all will make you a fortune. Baek Mujin immediately became excited and leaned in to examine it. Seomun Gyuk quickly put it away and laughed. This is hard to get. If you want it, tell me. Unexpectedly, Baek Mujin bowed in thanks. Thank you, Seomun Hyang. I remember it all. Then, excitedly, he ran off. Farewell, I have to go sell noodles. The two Seomun Gyuks were stunned. He remembers it all. Brother Mujin is that smart. Baek Mujin then went to a certain place alone. He stood there, eyes closed, lost in thought. He recalled his conversation with the two Seomun Gyuks. I thought I hid my emotions well, but I was easily seen through. He reached out and drew his sword. Next time we must be more careful. What if one day we are surrounded by a large number of enemies? What if someone among the onlookers secretly attacks us, or what if we are ambushed? What would we do then? I will recall the recent duel and add hypothetical situations for consideration. He swung his sword, delivering a strike imbued with piercing cold. The direction of the cold energy was aimed near the entrance. While practicing swordsmanship, he suddenly startled. Because Li Yeonseong happened to enter at that moment. He was startled by the sword energy and stood there dumbfounded. Baek Mujin hastily sheathed his sword, rushing over in a panic to ask, "Are you all right, sir?" The old man waved his hand, "I'm fine. Sorry for the interruption, but I have urgent business." Baek Mujin's face was full of anticipation. Another duel. The old man denied it. "We need to meet the alliance leader." He was then led to the alliance leader. "Greetings, alliance leader, I am Baek Mujin." The alliance leader smiled in return. "The pleasure is mine, I am Ji Yanghu." Baek Mujin secretly assessed him. His eyes were sharp, and his demeanor powerful. A true hero. Ji Yanghu stroked his beard, looking at him and asking, "I hear you defeated Jang Jion." Baek Mujin didn't deny it. "Yes, it was just luck." Ji Yanghu was astonished. "Jang Jion is a top expert, and yet he was defeated by you. You are truly extraordinary. I never expected the Baek clan to have an expert like you. Your reason for joining the Northern Heavenly Alliance is also quite unique. Is it really just for money?" Li Yeonseong sighed inwardly. "I told them not to mention this to the alliance leader, but perhaps the alliance leader will be displeased." Baek Mujin didn't hide anything and explained honestly. "After the previous patriarch passed away, my clan declined significantly. Therefore, I have to shoulder all the responsibilities. I am the patriarch. So, naturally, I have the responsibility to earn money to maintain the clan. I hope the alliance leader understands." Ji Yanghu's mouth dropped open. "Patriarch, you are the patriarch of the Baek clan in the Snow Mountain." Li Yeonseong was also stunned by this. Ji Yanghu questioned him, "Supervisor, how could you overlook such an important matter?" Li Yeonseong hastily explained, "Please forgive me, alliance leader. I didn't expect the Baek clan's patriarch to apply." Ji Yanghu again asked Baek Mujin, "So, are you willing to put aside your position as patriarch and become a martial artist of the Northern Heavenly Alliance?" Baek Mujin calmly replied, "It's fine, it's my choice, so the alliance leader needn't worry." Ji Yanghu nodded, "Very well. I hear you practice ice-based martial arts." Baek Mujin asked back, "Is there a problem with that?" Ji Yanghu waved his hand, "No problem. As long as you are loyal to our alliance, any martial art is fine. But I am truly curious about your martial arts. So, would you like to further demonstrate your abilities?" Baek Mujin replied, "There's no need for another duel. If possible, I'd like to become a hunter to prove my abilities. Is that all right?" Ji Yanghu fell into thought for a moment. Li Yeonseong spoke from behind, reminding him, "Sir, now is not the time for that. Hunters must be officially appointed and the time must be right." At that moment, Ji Yanghu burst into laughter. "I agree, recently, villains have been wreaking havoc everywhere, and no one is willing to take on this task. You've come at the right time." Baek Mujin bowed his head. "Thank you, sir," Ji Yanghu continued. "But I'll only give you 5 days. Within 5 days, you must capture all of them. If you do, then I will acknowledge your strength." Unexpectedly, Baek Mujin held up 3 fingers. "Just 3 days, we will finish." A moment later in the alliance leader's room, the alliance leader called his subordinates. "The executive board, you're investigating the Baek clan in the Snow Mountain, right?" Wu Taijong confirmed, "Yes, I believe this is necessary." Ji Yanghu agreed, "Yes, it's your duty. But let's stop the investigation. After meeting Baek Mujin, I don't think it's necessary anymore. I want to keep him close. If I investigate his subordinates behind his back, I'll feel uneasy. Just remember, traitors to the Northern Heavenly Alliance will not be tolerated. Conversely, if he's loyal, I will trust him completely. With such a talent, I also want to use him as an example. His martial arts are profound, and his personality is calm." Wu Taijong questioned, "What does the alliance leader want his subordinate to do?" Ji Yanghu, with a serious expression, registered Baek Mujin as a first-class martial artist. Wu Taijong was startled. "First class, usually, there's a review period for first class. Should we put him in second class first and promote him later?" Ji Yanghu snapped, "Someone who defeated a first-class martial artist is put in second class. Don't you find that ridiculous? If others find out, how will they view our Northern Heavenly Alliance?" Wu Taijong then received his orders and left. Ji Yanghu looked out the window. Baek Mujin, with him here, things are about to get interesting. Scene change, 2 Seoman Duke members stood there dumbfounded, clueless. Baek Mujin ran ahead, shouting, "Hurry up, we'll be late." Seoman Duke grumbled, "Why do we have to be hunters? We don't need the money." Baek Mujin didn't care. He was looking forward to it. It was time for real combat. He quickly reached the city gate. "Let's go together. It's all thanks to brother Seoman, hee. Dawn broke quickly. Someone rushed towards Baek Mujin's group. "Seoman Mayan Great Warrior, I found him." He held up a wanted poster and pointed into the distance. "Is causing trouble in that tavern." Ju Jorn gave a thumbs up. "A noble family's information network is indeed efficient." Seoman Gyuk praised his subordinate. "Good job, you'll be rewarded." Baek Mujin excitedly urged, let's go get him. He immediately prepared to leave. Seeing the two Seomun-guk members standing still, he stopped, puzzled. Why aren't you going? Seomun-guk replied, being a hunter is your job. I'm scared of these things. We'll wait here. You handle it yourself. Baek Mujin didn't insist and smiled. Okay, I'll go then. He excitedly ran off again, but after a few steps, Seomun-guk called him back. He then covered his face, revealing only his eyes. Seomun-guk was satisfied. We need to hide our identities. If they find out, the others will run away. Baek Mujin ran off again. I'll be back soon. Ju Jorn asked Seomun-guk, you worried about him? Seomun-guk scowled. Why would I be? The tavern was in chaos. The bartender and the waiters were huddled together, screaming in terror. A villain held a bowl of a gruesome-looking mixed noodle soup and questioned them. Look at this, you dared put this in my Gwangdu-woo's food. The people were resentful. Clearly, he put it in himself. He threw the bowl at them. I'm furious. I have to destroy this tavern to vent my anger. Hee. An old man couldn't take it anymore. He charged forward, yelling, you despicable underworld scum, you only bully the weak. Gwangdu-woo angrily raised his fist. This old man's crazy. I'll show him what's what. But before he could strike, his body uncontrollably flew into the air. He then fell face first onto the floor. The floor was covered in a layer of ice essence, making it extremely slippery. Gwangdu-woo looked up and saw Baek Mujin standing there. Baek Mujin asked him, you okay? Your nose is bleeding. Gwangdu-woo, covered in blood, asked in confusion, who are you? How dare you mock me? After saying that, he swung his spear towards Baek Mujin's head and slashed. Outside the village, the two Seomun-guks were still waiting. Ju Jorn worried, I hope he'll be alright. Seomun-guk's face was full of worry. Brother Mujin, wait for me, let's go. But when the two of them arrived at the tavern, what they saw was Gwangdu-woo's frozen body. Baek Mujin said to them, got it. Their mouths dropped open. You froze him solid, Baek Mujin explained. I just immobilized him a bit. He. Then he threw the opponent to the ground. There are 11 more, let's go. Alright, let's continue. The next one is in the neighboring village. Brother Seomun, it seems our worries were unfounded. A moment later, in the next village, you think you can catch me, punk. As soon as he finished speaking, he was frozen. A moment later, nearby, ha, take this, the young man leaped into the air, only to be frozen. Another one was frozen before he could even react. In a short time, Baek Mujin had captured 4 of them. The informant boy ran up again, young Master Seomun, I found them. Baek Mujin immediately ran over, I'm coming. The two Seomun-guks looked exasperated. Isn't he tired? Does he plan to catch them all before resting? An underworld member, holding something, shouted, who are you? State your name. Baek Mujin on the opposite side scratched his head, hesitating on how to respond. I can't reveal my identity, so please excuse me, just know that I'm a hunter, he. The other man coldly laughed and threw the object in his hand, so you're just a reckless brat, huh? Baek Mujin was instantly enveloped in black smoke, obscuring his vision. The other man, hidden within the smoke, taunted, half-baked hunter, try and catch me. Baek Mujin frowned, smoke, huh? I wonder if this will work. He then raised his hand and manipulated the cold energy. The young man on the other side of the smoke was smug, fool, you'll never catch me. But very quickly, he was startled to realize something. The smoke around his body was freezing. He was instantly frozen solid, unable to move. Baek Mujin was also quite surprised. I actually caught him. Almost all the underworld members who had been terrorizing the villages were captured by Baek Mujin and gathered in one place. We have 11, only one more to go. Seomun-guk reminds, this last guy is not an ordinary guy. He is a true underworld expert. His strength far surpasses those who were just captured. It is said that he also brought dozens of trusted followers with him. Baek Mujin pointed to the distance. How about we rest today, and catch him tomorrow? Oh my, brother Mujin, don't you know how to rest? We still have a day. It's not too late to rest a bit before catching him. The next day, the 3 of them went to the villain's location. Looking at the desolate scene, Seomun-guk couldn't help but exclaim, the surrounding villages have been devastated by him. It's truly outrageous. The voice of the young intelligence officer also rang out at this time. Young master, I found them. I heard they are in that forest over there. Arriving at the edge of the forest, Baek Mujin fearlessly strode in. I'm going in. Seomun-guk went to stop him. Wait. Didn't I say there were a lot of them? No matter how powerful brother Mujin is, he can't deal with so many enemies. Let us go with you. The 2 of them then carried their weapons and advanced. Baek Mujin stood there in a daze, feeling very confused. I can go alone. Never mind, the more the merrier. Deep within the forest, a long sword blazed with intense flames. The young man stood before the sword's point, drenched in sweat, begging for mercy. Please, spare me. The person holding the sword pointed at his face was a red-haired woman. Face, the 3 Baek Mujin had just entered the forest when they heard a miserable scream. They didn't dare delay, quickly accelerating their pace. Upon arriving, they found the underworld members lying defeated all over the place. Seomun-guk and Ju Jorn quickly approached to check. These underworld members were attacked. Where's that guy? What happened here? This is strange, the surroundings are scorched, and these people are severely burned. It looks like an explosion. Seomun Duke frowned. I didn't hear any explosion, and even if there was, it couldn't have caused this much damage. Baek Mujin frowned, looking into the distance, sensing something emitting intense heat. Soon, flames erupted there. The three of them quickly dashed towards the flames. Baek Mujin accelerated, leaving the other two behind. That's a powerful expert. Meanwhile, the underworld member was writhing on the ground in agony, groaning. The woman sighed in disappointment. I heard you're a skilled underworld member, but you're nothing special. The young man's face was still half ablaze, and the flames couldn't be extinguished. It's so hot, I'm going to die from the heat. The woman's companions suddenly turned their heads to the side. The direction they were looking was where Baek Mujin and the others were running. One of them approached the woman to report, someone's coming. The woman glanced over suspiciously. Baek Mujin and the others had arrived. He and the woman met each other's gaze. Recognizing them as hunters, the group quickly left. Baek Mujin ran to the underworld member. He placed his hand on the man's face, using his cold energy to quell the flames. The three women had already mounted their horses. Before leaving, she spoke. Hey, you hunters. I'm giving you that guy. Saying that, she quickly spurred her horse and left. Baek Mujin stood there, watching their backs disappear without a word. He reached up and removed his mask. A smile played on his lips. It seems we'll meet again. The next day, at the Northern Heavenly Alliance, Ji Yu Young-hoo laughed so hard he couldn't stop. I recognize your talent. I didn't expect you to freeze them all and drag them back here. I've already prepared the money and sent it to the Baek clan, so you don't need to worry. He then placed the Go board on the table. Let's play a game. I learned from the previous alliance leader, like you, I have no interest in Go. But one day, he explained to me the 10 principles of Go. Baek Mujin was doubtful. The 10 principles. Ji Yu Young-hoo explained, these are 10 rules when playing Go. It's said that these rules were created by the Go master Wang Jixin, and the previous alliance leader also used them as rules of conduct in Jianghu. Its content is simply as follows: when attacking, examine yourself first. Don't be greedy for victory. The stronger the opponent, the more cautious you must be. The rules are simple yet profound. The previous alliance leader told me, these are things that people in Jianghu should keep in mind. Playing Go is like martial arts training. People often repeat mistakes, clinging to previous choices, and thus repeatedly falling into familiar failure. Baek Mujin agreed, that's quite reasonable. Ji Yu Young-hoo then asked, do you know the frightening aspect of the 10 principles? Baek Mujin was stunned. I don't know. Ji Yu Young-hoo's face turned serious. That's because everyone thinks it's easy to understand. This alliance leader position isn't easy to hold. Both the previous alliance leader and I experienced that. It's still the same now. Remember this, knowing your opponent is strong but not being cautious will lead to the same outcome as them. At this moment, a group of people were approaching from a distance. Baek Mujin stood up in surprise to look. These people all looked very imposing. It seemed to be a well-trained army. Baek Mujin went to Ji Yu Young-hoo's side and asked, does the alliance leader in the 10 principles believe in forewarned is forearmed? Ji Yu Young-hoo asked back, what, do you think there are too many people? Baek Mujin confirmed, yes, could you have foreseen this? Ji Yu Young-hoo answered without hesitation. This game was set up by me. He then drew his sword. You've shown your strength, so I should also show you mine. The elder leading the group shouted loudly, Captain of the Guards, you well these days. Ji Yu Young-hoo also laughed loudly in response. Elder Danmok, I knew it would be you, but you brought too many people. He softly explained to Baek Mujin, I used to be a martial arts instructor and bodyguard. The elder shouted again, you've become the alliance leader, quite the big mouth, since when did you dare to speak to me in that tone? Another person spoke up, no one stopped us along the way. Are you really the alliance leader of the Northern Heavenly Alliance? Ji Yu Young-hoo proudly pointed at himself, fool, it's because I didn't allow anyone to stop you. Look behind you. Your escape route is cut off. The group became confused. Ji Yu Young-hoo laughed triumphantly, even happier. Elder Danmok, you knew it was me, yet you still fell for it. The old man reached out to grab the banana sword. Of course I had expected it. He immediately drew his sword. The people behind him did the same. Ji Yu Young-hoo explained, they are swordsmen of the Danmok sword family. Baek Mujin was a little tense. They're quite numerous. Alliance leader, he said. Ji Yu Young-hoo told him to stand and observe. Baek Mujin was confused. You just said we shouldn't be greedy for victory, he said. Are you planning to kill them all? Ji Yu Young-hoo sneered. So what if I am? Baek Mujin offered a suggestion. Could we spare some? Let's recruit them. Judging by the attitudes of some, they seem forced into this. There's no need to kill everyone. Alliance leader, allow me to say a few words to them. Ji Yu Young-hoo immediately granted permission and shouted, anyone forced to be here, stand still, I will give you a way to live. I know you're here under orders from your superiors. Don't lose your lives because of this. The old man gritted his teeth in anger, that pale-faced man. Saying that in front of so many people, is he crazy? They are both peerless masters. Unable to comprehend, he led the group, swords drawn, charging forward. No more words. Attack. Ji Youngho sighed. It seems many have made a wrong decision. Just wait there. The moment he finished, Baek Mujin vanished. Ignoring him, he dashed towards the crowd. Ji Youngho's face was full of helplessness. TSK, I told him to just watch. Baek Mujin stared at the crowd, analyzing the situation. The old man and the two beside him are the leaders. Controlling them will change the situation. He quickly landed before the crowd, his body radiating intense cold. He placed his hand on the ground. Immediately, the three old men had their legs frozen in ice. The crowd panicked. Ice. Baek Mujin frowned, thinking, freezing their legs avoids unnecessary killing. The old man roared in anger, don't block my way. He then swung his sword, shattering the ice. Then he leaped into the air. His target was Ji Youngho. See my swordsmanship. Ji Youngho sneered, activating his chi. His martial arts are still quite formidable. He then spun around. A fiery, smoky aura enveloped him. He quickly swung his sword. A fierce, fiery sword energy sliced through the air. The old man, charging forward, gritted his teeth and parried. The remaining sword energy slashed down at the crowd below. Two young subordinates and the henchmen behind them were instantly engulfed in blood, their screams filling the air. Baek Mujin was stunned by the bloody scene before him. The remaining people, terrified, retreated. Baek Mujin shouted again, everyone, stop, don't resist, you'll only lose your lives. Drop your weapons and stop. At this moment, a guy behind him who was still alive suddenly swung his sword and stabbed forward, wanting to sneak attack Mujin. But before he could succeed, the ice rose up and took his life. Baek Mujin himself was startled by this. He turned his head, observing the massive ice essence that had taken the opponent's life. He hadn't intentionally used it, it happened unconsciously. The remaining people were terrified, scrambling to flee. Just then, Ji Youngho leaped down from above, blocking their escape route. His body was covered in blood. His expression was ferocious, like a wild beast staring them down. They were all frightened by his appearance and expression. He then raised the head of their leader. They all stood there, mouths agape. He tossed the skull in front of them, and they all knelt down, begging for mercy. The Northern Heavenly Alliance army also arrived from outside. Ji Youngho commanded, that's enough for today, no more killing, capture the rest. Track down the Duanmu sword and deal with it according to the law. Baek Mujin stood there, head bowed in sadness. Ji Youngho approached, patted him on the shoulder and laughed, come on, let's go drink. His mind was still replaying the face of the man before his death. He couldn't bring himself to be happy. His hands clenched, showing his distress. This is the first time I've killed someone. The two of them returned to the city. As night fell, Baek Mujin returned to his room. His clothes were stained with blood. He took off his bloody clothes, revealing his six-pack abs. He looked at the clothes in his hand, his mind involuntarily recalling that moment. Trying to save someone, but ending up killing him. He decisively threw the clothes aside. I was unexpectedly attacked using a martial art I didn't even know I'd used. So it turns out I haven't fully mastered my family's martial arts. Ji Youngho, if I hadn't intervened, he probably would have killed them all. Judging by his martial arts, he wouldn't have killed them one by one. A few bursts of sword energy would have been enough to wipe them out. His martial arts were truly superb. The more he thought about it, the more tired he felt, and he collapsed onto the bed. Maybe some rest will help. But he quickly sat up again. His face was still filled with sadness and worry. He then went to drink with Seomun Gyuk. What happened? I asked people on the board of executives, but they don't know either. Baek Mujin nodded, yes. Seomun Gyuk looked at him with interest. Brother Mujin was also present at the Alliance leader's palace. He must know very well. Baek Mujin asked again, Brother Seomun, do you know the Danmok sword family? Seomun Gyuk replied, that's a family specializing in swift swords. Their patriarch is Danmok Pyong. He is an outstanding swordsman. They don't compete for the position of supreme leader, but they are involved in many business fields, so they are also very famous. It is said that they frequently engage in life-or-death battles with underworld forces. Baek Mujin was puzzled. Isn't Danmok Hyun the patriarch? Seomun Gyuk was stunned. Danmok Hyun, who is that? Baek Mujin explained, he is one of the elders of the Northern Heavenly Alliance, and it is said that he comes from the Danmok sword family. Seomun Gyuk's face was full of confusion. Patriarch Danmok Pyong is a young patriarch, only over 30 years old. This is the first time I've heard of Danmok Hyun. Perhaps he's not a direct descendant. Baek Mujin was stunned, unable to understand. Finally he could only tell everything. Actually, a man named Danmok Hyun attacked the rear of the Alliance leader's residence. Seomun Gyuk immediately became excited. What? Why is the Alliance leader silent about this? Baek Mujin continued, briefly saying that the Alliance leader Ji Youngho had quelled everything. Ju Jeon was stunned. The Alliance leader, did you witness it yourself? Baek Mujin asked again. What do you want to ask? Seomun Gyuk anxiously said, his overwhelming strength. Baek Mujin's face was serious, very strong. Although he still reserved some strength, he easily suppressed all the rebels. Both Seomun Gyuk and Ju Jeon stared at each other with their mouths agape. He then excitedly exclaimed, joining the Northern Heavenly Alliance was indeed the right decision. It seems many interesting things will happen. Our Seomun family is too quiet. Baek Mujin asked again, Brother Seomun, have you ever killed someone? Seomun Gyuk calmly replied, having stepped into the Jianghu, of course I have. Why did you suddenly ask that? Have you never killed anyone? Baek Mujin nodded, yes. Seomun Gyuk suddenly realized, so that's why you invited us to drink. You only have strong martial arts skills, but you're still very naive, ha ha. Come, let me offer you a drink. Ju Jorn also spoke up, everything has a first time. The two then started arguing, ha ha, are you drunk? What nonsense are you saying? Because it's the first time, it's called the first time, that's what I meant, ha ha. Baek Mujin sat there, his face still showing a sorrowful expression. Seomun Gyuk went over and patted his shoulder to comfort him, you'll get used to it soon, don't worry, cheer up, because you survived an attack by the rebels. Welcome to becoming a true warrior. Baek Mujin smiled and nodded. He then stood up and clasped his hands. From now on, feel free to address me. From now on, I will call you two brother and sister. You two really stupid. Seomun Gyuk became even more excited, bursting into laughter. Ha ha, you're so stiff, only when you drink will you be like this. From now on, I'll call you Baek little brother. Baek Mujin nodded, let's do that. I'm only proficient in martial arts, I don't know anything else, so I really hope to receive your guidance. Seomun Gyuk proudly said, I'm only weaker than you in martial arts, but I know more than you in everything else, so learn well. The next day, outside the Northern Heavenly Alliance martial arts field, the Alliance leader sat on the platform and waved his hand, ordering his subordinates to execute them. The people immediately raised their axes. All the heads of the rebels were immediately chopped off. Baek Mujin was also present. He didn't dare to look at this scene, he could only close his eyes tightly. Ji Yu-yang then loudly ordered, the Battle Sword Unit and the Devil Hunter Unit will now attack the Danmok Sword family under the command of their respective captains. No matter the reason, do not let anyone survive, kill them all and return. Everyone received the order with fervent enthusiasm. A few people quietly exchanged words, the Danmok Sword family isn't an underworld force, doing this without any investigation is truly a bit unsettling. Ji Yu-yang shouted again, the leaders of the Dongqian and Seokwang branches are suspected of bribery, they have been summoned many times, but they always claim to be busy with work, for more than 100 days, they haven't shown up, therefore, I will send supervisors to check the situation of the branches and escort their leaders back to the main hall. First-class warrior, Lee Jongnam, you are appointed as the supervisor in charge of the Dongqian branch, gather the necessary troops to escort the Dongqian branch leader here, if he dares to resist, kill him without hesitation. Lee Jongnam loudly replied, this subordinate obeys. Ji Yu-yang continued, first-class warrior Baek Mujin. Baek Mujin was lost in thought below, and didn't notice for a moment. It was not until he called again a second time that he suddenly came to his senses and replied, has subordinates the alliance leader. Ji Yu-yang glanced at him, you are appointed as the supervisor in charge of the Seokwang branch, discuss with the executive board to choose someone and leave before the afternoon. Your mission is the same as Lee Jongnam's, if the target refuses to be escorted, you may behead them on the spot. Baek Mujin, without objection, clasped his hands and accepted the order. Ji Yu-yang continued to look at the people below, the remaining teams, prepare your weapons and be ready to depart at any time. We will attack the Iron Blood sect. The people, with fierce momentum, shouted in unison, we accept the order. Several administrators in the back were astonished, why are we suddenly attacking the Iron Blood sect, did I hear wrong? Be quiet, they're underworld, we'll have to fight them sooner or later. Lee Yeonseong frowned thoughtfully, the strongest opposing force to the Northern Heavenly Alliance is the Iron Blood sect. The leader of the Iron Blood sect is Kwon Minkang, is very famous in the underworld, nicknamed the Great Axe of the Blood Wind, is so powerful that people say Kwon Minkang is the Iron Blood sect. Regardless of strength or power, they are in no way inferior to us, the question is whether the alliance leader can defeat Kwon Minkang now. Baek Mujin then went to Wu Taijong. It's called escorting, but it's actually going to kill him, right? The old man replied. He knows that returning to the Northern Heavenly Alliance will only lead to one outcome. This is more dangerous than you think. Baek Mujin replied, first, I will try my best to carry out the escort mission. Wu Taijong continued, I'll select 10 elite soldiers to go with you. Baek Mujin shook his head, the more people we have, the more difficult it will be, it's better to send only one person with me. Wu Taijong was surprised, go to the Seokwang branch with only one person. Baek Mujin smiled in confirmation. A moment later, on Seomun Gyuk's side, the young man's mouth dropped open in disbelief. What? Baek Mujin reminded him, Seomun Hyung, prepare quickly, I've accepted the mission as supervisor, and you're the deputy supervisor. Seomun Gyuk questioned, why me? Baek Mujin calmly replied, I just said it. Seomun Gyuk unwillingly shouted, why, what reason is there, why make someone who's resting well like me go to work? Besides trouble, danger, and exhaustion, what's in it for me? Though unwilling, he couldn't disobey the order and ultimately followed Baek Mujin. Baek Mujin's heart was filled with determination. This is my first mission as a high-ranking member of the Northern Heavenly Alliance. It won't be easy, but I must return successfully. 3 days later, at the Seokwang branch, I am Jong In-hyeok, the deputy branch manager of the Seokwang branch. What brings you here? Baek Mujin asked. Where is the leader? Jong In-hyeok replied, you mean the branch manager is currently absent. You're from the main hall. We didn't receive any notification. Seo Mun-guk puzzled. If he's absent, he must have gone somewhere. Jong In-hyeok obviously doesn't want to say it. If there's anything, then just tell me. When he's not around, I'm the one in charge. Baek Mujin shook his head. This is something that has nothing to do with you. At that moment, a group of people rushed in from outside. What's going on? You from the main hall. They quickly surrounded Baek Mujin and Seo Mun-guk. Seo Mun-guk was tense. The atmosphere seemed strange. Baek Mujin remained calm. It's still early, and the leader is absent without telling us where he went. Is this the Seokwang branch's answer? The group replied. Did you just mention the branch leader? Jong In-hyeok interrupted. Be quiet. These are messengers sent by the alliance leader. Baek Mujin continued. If you don't tell us, we'll find him ourselves. Jong In-hyeok hurriedly waved his hands to stop him. No, we'll find him and report back. What are you all standing around for? Quickly find the branch manager and bring some tea. Baek Mujin then went to a table and sat down. Seo Mun-hyung, sit down, have some tea, and wait. Seo Mun-guk nervously sat beside him. You can still drink tea now, I'm so nervous. On the other side, Bong Yoo-hak, the branch manager of the Seokwang branch, was startled after hearing his subordinate's report, sent by the alliance leader. Did he state his purpose? Jong In-hyeok shook his head. He demanded to see you first. Bong Yoo-hak was tense. That's bad news. All right, I'll go meet him. He was about to leave when the person sitting opposite him suddenly spoke. Branch leader Bong, if it's work, then let's make it clear. You've decided to leave the Northern Heavenly Alliance. If you've decided to cut ties, then do it decisively, shouldn't you? Our leader will arrange your position, as well as all your brothers in the branch. We will even provide additional troops for you. Furthermore, under our leader, you won't have to worry about being called for these trivial matters. You can't keep hesitating. Having said that, he slammed his blade onto the table. If you need to draw your sword, wouldn't it be easier for me to do it? Just pretend you don't know, and it'll be over. You take me with you, even though we are not officially family yet, but this time we have to end everything. If branch leader Bong is taken back, the lightest punishment will be a previous banishment. The Iron Blood sect will definitely protect you, so don't worry about anything. Bong Yoo-hak cursed inwardly. Damn it, now I realize he revealed my bribery. I'd fallen into their trap. The door to Baek Mujin's room quickly opened, startling the two men who were drinking tea and chatting inside. A large man entered, loudly proclaiming, it's been a long and arduous journey, but I'm glad to finally meet you. We've arrived. Greetings, first-class martial artists of the Northern Heavenly Alliance. Baek Mujin questioned. Branch manager, who is this man? Bong Yoo-hak didn't know how to answer and could only remain silent. The large man's face immediately crumpled. You ask who I am. He charged towards them, shouting, you don't need to know. Without hesitation, he attacked Baek Mujin. Bong Yoo-hak was tense, sweating profusely. The large man laughed triumphantly. Ha ha, time to lose your head, kid. But quickly, his smile vanished, because Baek Mujin stopped his blade with just 2 fingers. He coldly asked, you from the underworld? The large man screamed in terror, who are you? Baek Mujin coldly replied, you attacked first, an asterisk then asterisk you ask who I am. The large man's sword-holding arm began to tremble. The power, it's overwhelming, I can't move. He quickly drew another sword with his other hand. Immediately, he swung the sword and continued his attack. The cold energy from Baek Mujin spread along the man's arm, enveloping his sword. The icy energy caused the large man to scream in agony. Bong Yoo-hak stammered in fear. What kind of martial arts is that? His subordinates were all dumbfounded. The large man's second sword was approaching Baek Mujin. The distance grew smaller and smaller. Just then, Seo Mun-guk arrived and swung his fan. His expression was extremely grim as he raised his iron thread. Immediately, he struck the opponent's head with it. The blow caved in the man's head, shaping it like a fan. He was instantly killed. Baek Mujin was shocked. Brother Seo Mun, you killed him. Seo Mun-guk calmly replied, these underworld thugs only learn their lesson through a beating. Unfortunately, this one died before he could learn. Baek Mujin looked at Bong Yoo-hak. Branch leader Bong, who was that man? Bong Yoo-hak answered without hesitation, he was Mak Sokwang. Seo Mun-guk asked, what sect did he belong to? Bong Yoo-hak stammered, he was from the Iron Blood sect. Baek Mujin spoke again. Branch manager Seokwang Party Cell, by order of the alliance leader, I will escort you to the main hall. I was ordered to behead you if you resist. His subordinates immediately erupted in commotion. Bong Yoo-hak stopped them. Having seen your martial arts, how could you possibly resist? Jong In-hyeok, send a letter to the main hall, reporting that the Iron Blood sect has reached out to the Seokwang branch and requested reinforcements. We will go with these two to the main hall. Jong in Hyeok, drenched in sweat, come with us, I will explain the situation, you'll die if you go alone. Bong Yoo-hak shook his head, no, Deputy Branch Manager, stay here, I will go and accept the punishment as per orders. According to Mak Sokwang, the Iron Blood sect is preparing to attack the Northern Heavenly Alliance. They are not just targeting us, they'll destabilize all branches before attacking the Northern Heavenly Alliance. I will report this fully and accept the punishment. Baek Mujin nodded, I won't hinder you, I trust you won't do anything unnecessary. Bong Yoo-hak bowed, please help me, it's the only way for me and the Seokwang branch to survive. The three of them immediately set off that night. Baek Mujin used his martial arts to travel, while Bong Yoo-hak rode a horse. He ran, pondering, these underworld people strike at the slightest opportunity. The previous battle unconsciously replayed in his mind. All right, I learned something new today. While running, he suddenly realized something. Seomun Gyuk and his companion were exhausted and stopped, unable to continue. He hurried back to ask, Brother Seomun, are you alright? Seomun Gyuk gasped, just a short rest. Scene changed to the Seokwang branch, everyone was killed. Someone was examining Mak Sokwang's body, these are blunt weapon wounds. He then turned to a corner of the house. Jong Renxie, covered in blood, sat there gasping for breath. Was it the man in white with the fan? Scene changed to an inn by the roadside. Seomun Gyuk and his companion were sleeping soundly. Baek Mujin peeked in, pondering, if it were just me, this schedule wouldn't need rest. But since there are others, no need to push it. He quietly closed the door, letting them rest, and went downstairs to drink. He assessed the people present, all lower level. Only one seems high-ranking, mostly lower level. I thought a place with so many people would have some fights. Just then, the main door was pushed open. The large man from the Seokwang branch entered. He constantly scanned the inn. Baek Mujin immediately recognized him as not lower level. His gaze quickly fell on Baek Mujin. He then instructed a waiter to bring drinks to Baek Mujin. He then pulled up a chair. If you don't mind, let's chat a bit. Baek Mujin didn't refuse and nodded, letting him sit. They sat facing each other. The young man asked again, Brother, do you have companions? Baek Mujin shook his head, no. The young man clasped his hands and introduced himself. I am Ban Goyong of the Yunshang sect. Baek Mujin returned the gesture. I am Baek Mujin. The young man asked, what sect are you from? Baek Mujin didn't hide it, the Snow Mountain Baek clan. Ban Goyong was doubtful. Snow Mountain, where is that? Could this be him? If he used iron thread then it can be confirmed. After thinking for a while, he spoke again. The thing I ordered is almost here. I'm so thirsty. Brother Mujin, can I have a cup of wine to sweeten my throat first? Baek Mujin didn't say much, immediately pouring him a cup. Ban Goyong, without any hesitation, drank it all in one gulp. The wine was excellent. This time, let me pour you a cup. Baek Mujin said nothing, raising his hand to offer him the wine bottle. Ban Goyong frowned, deep in thought. Let me check something. Thinking this, he decisively grabbed Baek Mujin's wrist. This caused both Baek Mujin and the waiter to be very surprised. The waiter froze in place, momentarily unable to move. Ban Goyong secretly thought of trying to transmit his inner energy to see. Baek Mujin calmly asked, what are you doing? Ban Goyong coldly snorted, immediately activating his inner energy. But something unexpected happened. His inner energy couldn't penetrate, instead it was repelled. Baek Mujin's face wrinkled. You trying to test my strength? He then grabbed the other party's hand. The young man whose hand was grabbed immediately cried out in pain. The wine bottle in his hand fell and shattered. The spilled liquid instantly froze into ice essence by the cold energy. Baek Mujin also began to inject his cold energy into the young man's arm. You're just like that Mak Sokwang, truly ignorant. What is your relationship with Mak Sokwang? Are you also from the Iron Blood sect? The freezing caused the young man to be in so much pain that he could barely speak. He reached his other hand towards his lower waist. I'll kill him with one sword strike. He then roared, swinging his arm and throwing his sword. The sword light aimed straight for Baek Mujin's head. The young man proudly laughed. Ha ha, excellent, I'll take his head off. Unexpectedly, Baek Mujin caught the sword with both hands. Baek Mujin's face was grim. He shouted a single word, die. Then he swung his arm and counterattacked. Blood and ice essence instantly mingled. Ban Goyong's body was now split in two by the ice essence, standing frozen in place. At the same time, a group of people burst in. Lord Ban Goyong has been attacked. Brothers, charge. Baek Mujin coldly looked at the group. I knew it wasn't just him. All right, come on then. At that moment, a flame appeared, blocking both sides. Accompanied by an angry voice, what's all the commotion? Baek Mujin turned his head in doubt to see. The woman he met in the forest the other day was yawning and slowly descending from the upper floor. It's been so long since I had some peace, and some scoundrel dares to cause trouble. The people saw the flaming sword and the flames on the floor, and couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. The woman coldly threatened, I'm warning you, if you're not a master, it's best to run away. Everyone present in the restaurant was stunned by her appearance. The woman did not care, still calmly smiled and raised her sword. Baek Mujin stood beside her, silently watching, his thoughts unknown. The people in front started to show some fear. Captain, maybe we should retreat. The opponent doesn't seem easy to deal with. The captain's face was tense and contorted with displeasure. He looked at the man and woman before him, his mind filled with helplessness. It was clear they couldn't win. Engaging them would mean annihilation. He finally made the decision, ordering his men to retreat. The woman looked slightly disappointed. None of you are masters. She didn't stop them, simply watching as they left. She gritted her teeth in anger. I should have stayed upstairs and slept. Why did I come down here? The waiters and other tavern staff finally rushed over with water to put out the fire. The woman apologetically approached them. I'm sorry, I'll compensate you. Don't worry. Baek Mujin then spoke. Young miss. Thanks to you, everything stopped like this. Thank you very much, young miss. The woman looked at the corpse on the ground. It seems he was taken care of in an instant. Did you do this? Baek Mujin glanced back. He had no choice but to admit it. Yes. It was an urgent situation. There was no other way. Perhaps the young miss was awakened by the commotion. I'm truly very sorry. Unexpectedly, she excitedly ran to him and asked, You a master? Facing a woman at this close distance stunned Baek Mujin, the woman quickly realized something was wrong. She immediately stepped back, raising her hands to cover her face. She moved her hands to observe Baek Mujin's face, then narrowed them, revealing only her eyes. Her eyes widened, as if realizing something. She quickly connected it to his masked appearance from before. You're the hunter from before. Baek Mujin chuckled and shook his head. No, I'm not a hunter now, I'm. But before he could finish, the woman's sword pointed at his face. Her face full of excitement, she said, Let's fight now. Baek Mujin was stunned. Why suddenly this? But he quickly dismissed his thoughts and happily agreed. But first, let's introduce ourselves before we fight. The woman nodded, sheathing her sword. Okay, I am. Before she could finish, a commotion erupted from upstairs. Little Palace Master, Baek little brother. Seo Mun-guk and his men rushed down from upstairs, each calling out to their acquaintances. Both then went down to check on their people. Seo Mun-guk quickly noticed the corpse beside them. Baek little brother, who is he? The woman interrupted again. His Ban Goyong of the Iron Blood sect. He's a renowned master of the Iron Blood sect. Actually, he's the next person I'm looking for. And you've made him like this, so, my next opponent is you. The two guards behind her showed tense expressions. Young miss, please, what are you planning to do again? Baek Mujin was completely fearless, calmly accepting. All right, I am Baek Mujin of the Snow Mountain Baek clan, currently a first-class martial artist of the Northern Heavenly Alliance. The girl also cheerfully introduced herself. I am the Little Palace Master of the Sacred Fire Palace, Jin Sohai. Seo Mun-guk broke out in a cold sweat upon hearing her identity. Both sides then tried to dissuade them. Seo Mun-guk said with a serious expression, Little brother Baek, hold on a moment. I'll explain later, but for now, please just leave and ignore everything. At that moment, a loud crash echoed as a group of Sacred Fire Palace members rushed in. Seize the young Palace Master, don't run, it's the Palace Master's order. Jin Sohai, startled, quickly turned and fled. Before leaping out the window, she didn't forget to say to Baek Mujin, We must have a fight next time, Baek Mujin. He smiled and nodded, accepting the challenge. Sohai immediately and without hesitation, flew out the window and escaped. At the inn, Seo Mun-guk asked Baek Mujin, Do you know anything about the Nine Heaven Alliance, which borders the southeastern branch of the Northern Heavenly Alliance? Hearing Mujin's ignorance, he sighed. You don't know anything, huh? The Iron Blood sect and the Sacred Fire Palace were part of the Underworld Min in the past. During a power struggle, internal conflicts arose within the Underworld Min, leading to the Iron Blood sect and Sacred Fire Palace leaving to form the current Nine Heaven Alliance. In any case, getting involved with the Underworld forces is very troublesome. Especially since that young Palace Master has a bad reputation. Baek Mujin, unconcerned, blurted out, She's beautiful. Seo Mun-guk cried out in exasperation. What are you saying? Please forget it. I'll introduce you to a beautiful woman, so please forget it. The two then went outside, chatting as they walked. Regarding the Iron Blood sect, when the Northern Heavenly Alliance attacks, you absolutely must participate. Seo Mun-guk agreed. That's natural. You're a first-class martial artist, Baek Mujin explained. I want to meet the leader of the Iron Blood sect once. He's the leader, right? What kind of person is he, and what are his thoughts? I'm curious why his subordinates act that way. Scene change, Yo Jaeyeon, the vice leader of the Iron Blood sect, lifted his tea and took a sip. Mak Sokwang, you say Ban Goyong is dead? The other person replied, I heard he died at the hands of a Northern Heavenly Alliance martial artist named Baek Mujin. Yo Jaeyeon questioned, then who will kill Baek Mujin? Mak Sokwang answered, We've sent assassins. Yo Jaeyeon stood up and walked. Assassins? Could assassins kill Ban Goyong in one move? Mak Sokwang shook his head. No, but I heard that Baek clan. Before he could finish, Yo Jaeyeon interrupted. If the assassins die too, you'll be responsible, won't you? Mak Sokwang stammered, unsure of what to say. Yo Jaeyeon continued, 5,000 liang. No, Ban Goyong wouldn't be satisfied. I'll raise it to 10,000 liang. Inquire about the assassination fee. Mak Sokwang's face was shocked. Vice leader, why are you hiring such notorious assassins? Yo Jaeon calmly replied, the conditions are simple, I just want to see Baek Mujin's face, with his head on my desk. Outside, chaos erupted. Who is Baek Mujin, the white-clothed martial artist? I heard he's a first-class martial artist of the Northern Heavenly Alliance. Do you know Ban Goyon, the expert of the Iron Blood sect? I heard he didn't even have time to react. You mean he was killed in one move? They definitely won't let this slide. Haha, who knows, maybe Baek Mujin will wipe them all out. Two assassins eating noodles overheard their conversation about Baek Mujin and sighed, everywhere is talking about Baek Mujin, I really want to meet him soon. Meanwhile, Baek Mujin and Seomun Gyuk had arrived at the Alliance leader's place. After going out, Seomun Gyuk was overjoyed. Haha, I met the Alliance leader, this is an honor for our clan. And he even promoted me, it's all thanks to you, thank you so much. We have to celebrate with drinks tonight. The two happily headed out, looking for a tavern. Two assassins were secretly observing them from behind a bush on the mountainside. That's Baek Mujin, and the one with the fan must be Seomun Gyuk. Baek Mujin sensed something and glanced in their direction. The two assassins were immediately terrified by his gaze. They quickly turned and hid behind a rock. Both were too scared to make a sound, cold sweat dripping from their foreheads. Seomun Gyuk, also suspicious, asked Baek Mujin, what's wrong, is something the matter? Baek Mujin frowned, brother Seomun, something feels off. Seomun Gyuk immediately took a fighting stance, let me check it out, but I don't sense any killing intent or aura. Baek Mujin didn't answer, silently standing there in thought. After a while, he closed his eyes and exhaled. Maybe I was wrong, Seomun Gyuk was helpless, hey, don't joke like that, you make me feel scared, Baek Mujin also replied helplessly, then I feel like there's something real, Seomun Gyuk reminded, this is the Northern Heavenly Alliance. No matter how big their livers are, they still wouldn't dare to come all the way here. Baek Mujin replied, it could be people from the Iron Blood sect. Seomun Gyuk was even more puzzled, the Iron Blood sect, they here because of that guy earlier. Baek Mujin continued, if you're scared, let's go back, we can drink another time. Seomun Gyuk shouted, are you crazy, even if I get stabbed in the neck today, I'm still going to drink. The two then happily continued to the tavern, let's have a few drinks, little brother. Meanwhile, two assassins were intently watching them. As soon as Baek Mujin entered the tavern, he caused a sensation. Warrior Baek, are you well? Is that Baek Mujin? It's an honor to meet you. Seomun Gyuk was puzzled. Since when did you become so famous? Baek Mujin was also dumbfounded. I don't know either. They quickly went to a table. Seomun Gyuk teasingly asked, how does it feel to be famous? Baek Mujin sighed, famous? You have to be the son of a great family like the Seomun clan to be considered famous. Seomun Gyuk laughed, embarrassedly waving his hand, you're exaggerating. Baek Mujin also did not hesitate. Yes, praise, that's enough. Brother, tell me about that mysterious force, Seomun Gyuk asked again, have you ever heard of the demonic soul sect? Baek Mujin shook his head, no, is the demonic soul sect a mysterious force? Seomun Gyuk raised his glass, no, listen, a long time ago, the demonic path was silent, but one day, they suddenly attacked the Righteous Alliance, assassinated the Alliance leader, and revealed themselves. That was the demonic path sect called the demonic soul sect. At that time, the demonic soul sect leader defeated all the masters of the 9 sects in an instant and declared that the world belonged to the demonic path. But the demonic path's reign only lasted 10 days, a force burned down the entire main hall of the demonic soul sect, including the leader. No one knows where they came from or where they went. It's said that the word secret heaven appeared on the burned ground. So whenever someone mentions a mysterious force, they start with the story of secret heaven. Baek Mujin exclaimed excitedly, secret heaven. Just then, someone interrupted from the side, are you talking about that legend? Can we listen together? I am the first-class martial artist Lee Jung-nam. He didn't wait for their agreement and sat down at the table. Seomun Gyuk, who was excited just a moment ago, immediately became subdued, thinking, Lee Jung-nam, before joining the Northern Heavenly Alliance, he was nothing more than an assassin. In this mission, he killed many people, including the branch manager of the Donkian branch. After a drink, Lee Jung-nam spoke again, perhaps this mission is no different from before. Lately, I've heard that Baek Mujin is often compared to me. Baek Mujin didn't say much, immediately stood up and said let's go. No need to be long-winded, just go. Lee Jung-nam was secretly furious, what an arrogant fellow. They then went out to a clearing in the woods. This place looks okay. Lee Jung-nam took the lead and drew his sword. I'm ready. Baek Mujin also did not say much and drew his sword. Both face to face, this is to compete to see who is stronger. Baek Mujin seriously looked at his opponent, let's begin. In the forest, the two assassins were still closely following their every move. When they are focused on fighting, we will rush forward to attack, and we will throw hidden weapons at Baek Mujin from behind. We only have one chance. Baek Mujin secretly glanced at them, thinking, the game is set, isn't it? In front, Lee Jung-nam took the initiative to attack. The two men, immediately after that, began to clash. Baek Mujin ducked to avoid the opponent's attack. Immediately after that, he did not give up and swung his sword to counterattack. The two continuously exchanged blows, their swords clashing incessant. The two assassins on the cliff were now also ready to take action. Below, Lee Jungnam and Baek Mujin still acted as if they didn't know the fierce battle was going on. Lee Jungnam jumped up and used all his strength to slash down with a powerful sword. But even so, he was still blocked by Baek Mujin, who swung his sword and sent him flying back. Baek Mujin remained incredibly calm and showed no signs of fatigue. Lee Jungnam narrowed his eyes, silently analyzing the situation. He was incredibly strong. Indeed, it seemed impossible to defeat him with ordinary attacks. I have to use it. With that thought, he decisively unleashed his special martial art, the extreme bloodstained sword. He continuously swung his sword, unleashing a dozen sword energies. All of them simultaneously targeted Baek Mujin. The two assassins on the cliff also immediately attacked. This was it. A rain of hidden weapons mixed with the sword energies targeted Baek Mujin. Yet, his face showed no fear. He calmly raised his sword. Come, I will accept it all. 3 people, from 2 directions, simultaneously attacked him. Baek Mujin lightly swung his sword, unleashing a freezing aura. Wherever his long sword swept, ice essence appeared. He raised his sword before him, his eyes icy cold. Then, he decisively swung his sword forward. A sturdy ice wall instantly formed before him. Lee Jungnam's jaw dropped at this sight. His sword energies were all blocked by the ice wall, unable to penetrate. One of the assassins above also swung his sword, launching a downward attack. Only now did Lee Jungnam realize their presence. He spun around in surprise. Who else? Baek Mujin remained unfazed, as everything was under his control. He sheathed his sword, then raised it again before him. His other hand rested on the blade. A terrifying icy aura erupted from his arm. The icy aura transformed into countless sword energies that soared into the sky, creating a breathtakingly beautiful scene, illuminating the heaven. Li Sheng's jaw dropped at this sight. The 2 young assassins, who had been confident of victory, were drenched in sweat. Seo Mun-gyuk, hidden to the side, clenched his fist in admiration. That's my brother. The sword energies struck the men individually. The one in the air continuously cried out in pain. The incoming hidden weapons were also repelled. Not stopping there, the assassin who had launched the hidden weapons from a distance was also struck by the sword energies, causing him to panic and cry out for his parents. A thought instantly arose in his mind. He was not someone they could handle. With that thought, he decisively turned and fled into the forest. The assassin who had attacked directly was not so fortunate. He was struck and fell to the ground. He gritted his teeth, cursed, and stood up again. Li Sheng approached with a stern face. An assassin. Baek Mujin glanced at him. One just escaped. Lee Jungnam replied, the fight must stop. I'll chase him immediately. To think assassins would dare infiltrate the Northern Heavenly Alliance. This is unforgivable. After saying that, he immediately flew towards the other party to chase after them. In his heart he cursed, damn it, he knew there was an assassin and still fought me. Meanwhile, the assassin remained on guard, his gaze fixed on Baek Mujin and the other. Seo Mun-gyuk questioned, who sent you? The Iron Blood sect, right? The assassin didn't answer, instead yelling, come on, I'll chop off both your heads. Baek Mujin instructed Seo Mun-gyuk, chase the assassin, escape with Lee Jungnam. Leave this assassin to me, I'll catch up after I'm done. Seo Mun-gyuk had no objections, knowing Baek Mujin's strength. Alright, leave this one to you. I trust you won't, but I must remind you, absolutely do not let him live. Assassins must be dealt with thoroughly, otherwise, there will be unforeseen consequences. The young assassin's face grew even more tense and anxious. After Seo Mun-gyuk left, Baek Mujin began to question, did the Iron Blood sect hire assassins to kill me? The assassin didn't say much, immediately charging, you don't need to know, just die. Baek Mujin didn't even bother looking at him, casually raising his sword. The young man lunged, only to be struck in the shoulder with the sword hilt. Even so, he continued his sword attack. But Baek Mujin, with impossible speed, appeared behind him. Before he could understand what was happening, Baek Mujin had seized his skull. Immediately, a chilling aura spread through the opponent's body. Baek Mujin's face wrinkled slightly, showing hesitation. But that hesitation didn't last long. Quickly, he raised his sword and ended the opponent's life. The ice essence scattered everywhere. He closed his eyes and focused. His mind conjured an image of himself standing amidst a sea of bloody corpses. His father's warning echoed again, when you step into the Jianghu, the whole world will be your enemy, your lonely battle begins. Scene change, inside the forest. The remaining assassin was frantically fleeing. He cursed inwardly with extreme resentment. Damn the Iron Blood sect, why did they only send 2 of us against such a monster? It would take a whole team of assassins to win. Seeing Lee Jungnam and the other in pursuit, he panicked, why are they still chasing me? He quickly flung a volley of hidden weapons. Lee Jungnam and the other blocked them with their weapons. Dare to infiltrate the Northern Heavenly Alliance for assassination, you're fearless, aren't you? But the opponent instantly widened the distance. Seo Mun-gyuk gritted his teeth, he knows the terrain and is escaping, if this continues, we'll lose him. The fleeing assassin coldly snorted. Once I get past there, they won't be able to catch me. He was gloating when a figure suddenly appeared beside him. It could only be Baek Mu-jin. Though he started later, he had caught up and was now alongside the assassin. Lee Jung-nam and the other were surprised by his sudden appearance. Baek Mu-jin coldly glanced at the assassin. Seeing the assassin's stunned expression, he calmly raised his hand. The young man couldn't avoid it, and was sent flying by the palm strike. His body was buried in rocks and debris, unable to move or escape. The two Lee Jung-nam quickly ran over. Seo Mun-guk worriedly asked, "Little brother Bark, you okay? Have you killed that guy yet?" Baek Mu-jin stared sternly at him, making him freeze. "Brother Seo-mun, please take me to the assassin sect." Scene changed to the assassin sect. Gasso, the sect master of the assassin sect, emerged from inside, disgruntled. "Damn it, they're still giving me orders at this hour. Today's the last time I'm going to see Yo Jaeon myself." Thinking of Yo Jaeon's hateful face, he became even more irritated. "Our strength is still far inferior to the Iron Blood sect." But as they stepped outside, they were startled. "What's that smell? Why is there a smell of pine resin here?" His subordinates behind him were puzzled. Pine resin. At that moment, a mocking voice rang out from the woods. "I've never heard that the assassin sect master has a dog's nose." The three of them immediately drew their weapons, preparing for a fight. Gasso shouted sharply, "Come out." As soon as he finished speaking, a group of people appeared, surrounding them. "Sect Master Lin, are you well?" Gasso asked, confused. "Who are you?" The person replied coldly, "We are from the Sacred Fire Palace." Gasso was terrified. "Why is the Sacred Fire Palace here?" The person calmly replied, "Naturally, I have business with you." Gasso shouted tensely, "We've never received any requests from the Sacred Fire Palace. Even if we did, we would refuse. I have a meeting with the vice leader of the Iron Blood sector head, so don't obstruct me." The middle-aged man stood calmly. "You dare compare us to the Iron Blood sect? The assassin sect is a den of cowards who only do assassinations. Your vision is as narrow as theirs." Gasso was furious but could only gnash his teeth in anger. The middle-aged man continued, "Sect Master Lin, I have a proposal you cannot refuse. One of our masters will duel you. If your martial arts are sufficient, we will allow the assassin sect to join the Sacred Fire Palace." Gasso didn't back down. "Join the Sacred Fire Palace? Are you trying to scare me with empty words?" He quickly noticed the person behind him. "Master, you mean that person?" The middle-aged man glanced back. "It's this one." Jin So-hai quickly stepped forward. "Gasso is a man who deserves to die, isn't he?" The middle-aged man replied, "Actually, he's not even worthy of being used as a dog." Jin So-hai spoke disdainfully, looking at those crazed eyes. The chronicler's words were indeed true. "Thank you, left servant, for not taking me back to the palace but bringing me here." The left servant chuckled. "The little palace master would have found a way to escape and come here anyway, right?" Jin So-hai smiled. "If I lose to Sect Master Lin, please avenge me, left servant." Gasso gnashed his teeth inwardly, cursing, "These damn people." He raised his sword, pointing at them. "You ready?" So-hai raised her hand. "Let me prepare a bit." She then raised her hand in a provocative gesture. Seeing this, Gasso roared with fierce momentum. Without hesitation, he leaped towards her. Flames erupted from So-hai's arm. A fiery blaze shot out with a swing of her arm. Gasso, who was charging, was forced to stop and parry with his sword. He easily cut the flames in two. But So-hai had already leaped above him. She then brought her hands together and lunged towards his head. Gasso looked up at the blazing flames descending and was terrified. The flames erupted, accompanied by his agonizing scream. After delivering the blow, So-hai gracefully landed a short distance away. Gasso was burned alive, reduced to ashes. Left servant also came forward at this time and said, "I have arranged for the little palace master to learn more about tactics and accumulate experience. Why did you suddenly use the heaven-extinguishing flame energy right away?" So-hai puffed her cheeks uncomfortably. "His gaze made me feel very uncomfortable." The left servant advised, "Then let's return to the palace now. I will report to the palace master that there were no worthy opponents encountered during this trip." So-hai fell into deep thought. After a moment, she remembered and pleaded, "Left servant, before returning to the palace, there's one place I absolutely must visit." The left servant shook his head. "No, it's too late now, and I've already reported to the palace master that we only went to the assassin sect." So-hai didn't give up. "Left servant, this is truly my final request. I promised I would meet that person. Please grant my wish." The left servant pondered for a moment, then asked again, "Is this truly the last time?" He then ordered his subordinates to burn the assassin sect to the ground. The entire structure was soon engulfed in flames. Baek Mu-jin happened to arrive shortly after. Seo Mun-guk, who was with him, was stunned by the sight. "What on earth is going on? What happened to the assassin sect?" Baek Mu-jin didn't answer, but silently observed. The word Sacred Fire Palace quickly flashed through his mind. They then returned to the Northern Heavenly Alliance together. Baek Mu-jin didn't rest but went to the martial arts training room to practice his swordsmanship. He practiced his sword while pondering, Sacred Fire Palace Jin So-hai. How powerful is she to completely annihilate the assassin sect? He imagined the raging flames before him. Then, he swung his sword, using his icy energy to dispel them. A serious expression appeared on his face. Ice and fire, such a strange feeling. I must find a way to go there myself soon. The image of the beautiful Jin So-hye quickly appeared in his mind. Remembering her, his face involuntarily flushed. Just then, someone poked their head in from outside and said, "Baek Mu-jin, you have a visitor." The young man, startled and embarrassed, regained his composure, covering his face with his hand. "A visitor? I don't have any visitors. Who is it?" The person replied, "I heard they came from the Snow Mountain Baek clan." Baek Mu-jin was astonished to hear that someone from his clan was visiting. He immediately rushed outside. "It's impossible for my clan to send someone. Could there be bad news?" But when he went outside, he was stunned. Because standing there was a figure who wasn't from the Baek clan. He silently observed the other person from behind. "Who are you, daring to impersonate my clan and come here?" The person slowly turned around. "My apologies, let me introduce myself. I am Legan, a left servant of the Sacred Fire Palace." Baek Mu-jin was slightly surprised to hear that he was from the Sacred Fire Palace. Legan explained, "I apologize, but this was the only way to meet you. I even waited at the inn where the Northern Heavenly Alliance warriors frequent, but I couldn't find you." Baek Mu-jin chose silence in response. Legan continued, "What's wrong? Because I'm from the Sacred Fire Palace, you intend to inform others and arrest me?" Baek Mu-jin shook his head. "No need for that, let's talk about the main matter first." Legan continued, "Actually, I'm not here of my own volition, I couldn't resist the wishes of the one I serve." Baek Mu-jin was astonished. "The one he serves?" Legan continued, "That person is practicing martial arts and the way of practicing martial arts is not like normal. Jin Seo Sangwei, the Sword Master Go Hobin, and the Gale Devil are all famous masters of the evil sect. Recently, all of them were defeated by that person." Seeing Baek Mu-jin's expression, he paused, thinking, "What's that? What's with that expression?" After a moment, Legan continued, "The important thing is, that person single-handedly defeated Imgaso, the sect master of the assassin sect, without any outside interference." Baek Mu-jin inwardly sighed, "I knew it." Legan continued, "When that person was about to return to the palace, they asked me a favor." Before he could finish, Baek Mu-jin directly asked, "Where is she?" Seeing Legan stunned, Baek Mu-jin continued, "Little Palace Master Jin So-hye, where is she?" Legan corrected him, "You should say, where is that person? That's the correct way to phrase it." Baek Mu-jin replied, "If speaking as someone from the Northern Heavenly Alliance, that's correct, but I'm speaking as the Patriarch of the Snow Mountain Baek clan. Where is she?" Legan was astonished. The Patriarch of the Snow Mountain Baek clan. He immediately bowed, "My apologies for not recognizing your status as Patriarch." "Then let's go." Baek Mu-jin then followed him. Legan walked, deep in thought. "If this person is stronger than the Little Palace Master, then I must find a way to postpone this fight." Thinking this, he turned and said, "From here, let's go a little faster, it's quite a distance, can we use mobility arts?" Baek Mu-jin had no objections, calmly nodding, "Of course." Legan explained, "I'll give you time to rest once we arrive, so don't misunderstand." Baek Mu-jin remained extremely calm, "As you wish." Legan chuckled, "Ha ha, that confidence is impressive. If you get tired, say something, I'll slow down." Having said that, he decisively leaped into the air and flew off. Baek Mu-jin's first reaction was to widen his eyes. Then, the corners of his mouth curled up in amusement. Legan had traveled a considerable distance, but still didn't see Baek Mu-jin, causing him to become suspicious. "Where is he?" But very quickly, his eyes widened in astonishment, because Baek Mu-jin was leisurely walking right behind him. There wasn't a hint of discomfort on his face. Legan, surprised, immediately stopped. Baek Mu-jin also braked to a stop. Again, he looked at him in confusion. "Arrived yet?" Legan hesitated. Not yet, there's a fallen tree, so I stopped for a moment. I'm afraid we took a wrong turn." Baek Mu-jin asked, "Oh, which way is it?" Legan pointed beside him, "This way, but why are your footsteps so quiet?" Baek Mu-jin lifted his foot. "My footsteps are naturally light. Shall we continue?" Legan leaped forward again. "All right, let's continue." Baek Mu-jin frowned, thinking, "Left servant, hurry up." Legan moved forward, thinking, his mobility arts alone are enough to make him famous. Should I investigate the Snow Mountain Baek clan? This is where we must determine victory or defeat. Using mobility arts to reach the rendezvous point was something I told my subordinates beforehand. I ordered them to hide on both sides of the road and throw hidden weapons. Of course, I told them to throw them at me too, so Baek Mu-jin wouldn't suspect anything. I arranged this in case Baek Mu-jin's martial arts skills were truly exceptional. It seems I'll have to use this method after all, two people on the same path, but one ahead and one behind. Baek Mu-jin thought, deep internal strength, stable mobility arts, the Sacred Fire Palace's martial arts are becoming more and more intriguing. At that moment, he suddenly realized something. The speed seems to be slowing down a bit, there's no way he could get tired so quickly. Legan was in front, thinking silently, at this moment. Very quickly in the forest there were countless hidden weapons released. Baek Mu-jin leaped to evade them. He soared high above, clearing the forest. He hovered there, looking down. Legan below was struggling to fend off the hidden weapons. Quickly, hidden weapons were launched upwards at Baek Mu-jin. He nimbly dodged them and then landed up. Baek Mu-jin quickly noticed where the hidden weapons were launched from. Without hesitation, he drew his sword and slashed. The hidden weapons continued to come. Baek Mu-jin showed no sign of panic, calmly deflecting them with his sword. Immediately after, he unleashed a powerful counterattack. A terrifying icy blast struck the group launching the hidden weapons in the forest. The group, realizing they'd been discovered, panicked and fled into the forest. Baek Mu-jin couldn't possibly let them get away so easily. He sheathed his sword and resolutely pursued them. All four of them were terrified. Baek Mu-jin raised both hands, aiming through the gap towards the assassins. He then began to gather his chi and unleash the cold and warm water law. But at that moment, Lee Gan appeared and blocked him. He firmly grasped Baek Mu-jin's hand. Baek Mu-jin didn't yield, gripping his hand and questioning him. Is this the left servant's plan? Why not just say you want to fight? Lee Gan's face crumpled. Immediately, he channeled his chi. Baek Mu-jin similarly activated his cold energy. The flames of the sacred fire would transform into a snowflake. Lee Gan, faced with this situation, uncontrollably broke into a sweat. Baek Mu-jin then forcefully pulled him. Lee Gan was flung back, but he didn't stop, striking again. Mu-jin, needless to say, met the attack head-on. The two once again clashed directly. The place where they fought immediately exploded violently. Lee Gan's face twisted further in tension. Baek Mu-jin, on the other hand, remained calm and composed. Both their palms remained locked in a clash, showing no sign of separating. Lee Gan pondered, first, let's knock Baek Mu-jin unconscious. Thinking so, he concentrated his strength in his other hand. Crimson chi rapidly erupted. Fiery energy surged, engulfing Mu-jin's body. Even so, he still did not show any fear. His face was solemn as he used his counterattack move, the Baek Flame Divine Arts, 4-star. Cold air immediately erupted and pressed back. In a short while, Lee Gan's arm was encased in a layer of ice essence. His face wrinkled in silent horror. How could this be? It actually devoured my heaven-extinguishing flame energy in the blink of an eye. It seems I have no choice but to do this. I'll unleash the heaven-extinguishing flame energy from within. Mu-jin on the opposite side sensed his change, his eyes widening in astonishment. The fiery energy erupted again, shattering Mu-jin's icy energy. Lee Gan closed his eyes, gathering his energy. My body will shatter, but Baek Mu-jin won't be safe either. This will be my repayment to the sacred fire palace master. Baek Mu-jin on the other side was also silently sighing. He had decided to accept death. What a fool. Lee Gan, with unwavering resolve, gathered his energy. Palace master, little palace master, left servant, please withdraw. At that moment, a fiery energy shot from afar, accompanied by a voice telling them to stop. Baek Mu-jin, startled, turned his head to look. The person was none other than Sohai. She gritted her teeth and charged forward like a moth to a flame. The two were thus separated. Baek Mu-jin was still observing her in a daze. As soon as Sohai landed, she glared at him. That look made Baek Mu-jin jump slightly. On this side, Lee Gan, his body battered, groaned and swayed. Sohai quickly rushed to support him. His arm was still trembling violently. Sohai shouted angrily, Master, stop, Baek Mu-jin, please show mercy. This was my fault, I apologize. Baek Mu-jin remained silent, offering no response. Lee Gan finally couldn't take it anymore. He violently coughed up blood. He finally collapsed to the ground, unable to stand. Sohai was beside herself with worry. She quickly went behind him to help him circulate his energy and heal his wounds. After a while, Lee Gan calmed down and spoke. I'm fine. Sohai was still focused on circulating her energy. Don't talk. Lee Gan silently berated himself. You're truly pathetic, Lee Gan. Sohai suddenly exclaimed, Left servant, you've done something useless. Baek Mu-jin in front remained silently waiting and observing. After stabilizing Lee Gan's injuries, Sohai turned her attention back to him. She instructed her subordinates behind her. Those waiting all retreated. The group, without objection, unanimously obeyed, following the little leech's order. Once only the two of them remained, she spoke to Baek Mu-jin. I received reports that many subordinates had escaped, so I went after them. I knew nothing of this. I will deal severely with the left servant later. Baek Mu-jin on the opposite side observed her expression, secretly feeling in his heart. Sigh, Sacred Fire Palace is so strange, both subordinate and master. Sohai was also very confused. How could Baek Mu-jin have overwhelmed the left servant? It was truly unbelievable. Baek Mu-jin narrowed his eyes, assessing her. Is the little palace master stronger than the left servant? They both shared the same thought, to test each other's strength. After a moment, they spoke. Should we change locations? The two then went to a tavern to talk. Left servant thing, I apologize again. I didn't expect this to happen. You should hear it from Baek Mu-jin. If you listen to left servant, he will definitely make excuses first. Baek Mu-jin replied, on the way here, my left servant and I were using mobility arts. Someone threw a hidden weapon. Since it also targeted my left servant, I didn't suspect anything at the time. But when I pursued the attacker, my left servant hindered my pursuit. That's when I realized the attacker was a warrior from the Sacred Fire Palace. So-Hai suddenly understood. I only wanted to request a duel with you, Baek Mu-jin. My left servant was probably overly worried. I apologize on his behalf. Baek Mu-jin quickly waved his hand. It's all right, I understand my left servant's loyalty. But I hear you've continuously defeated masters throughout Jeonhu. That's a bit surprising. So-Hai smiled. Is that so? Now that I think about it, our ages aren't that far apart, are they? Baek Mu-jin is 22, and So-Hai is 20. The two then fell silent, looking at each other without knowing what to say. The tense atmosphere was suddenly broken by loud laughter. Several men at the next table were watching them and laughing gleefully. What is that called again? What is it called? That sweet, intimate meeting between a man and a woman. It looks interesting. Let us join you, we'll pay for the drinks, ha ha. As he spoke, one of them walked over and kicked over their wine pot. Oh dear, sorry, I tripped. I'll order more drinks so we can join you, okay. So-Hai ignored him and asked Baek Mu-jin, what do you usually do in situations like this? Mu-jin smiled, I don't know, this is my first time encountering this. How about you, Miss Jin Young? So-Hai picked up her sword and calmly replied, usually, I kill them all. The three men were momentarily dumbfounded. Kill who? Baek Mu-jin advised, no need to kill them all. That's not a good approach. So-Hai questioned, not good. Baek Mu-jin continued, you can't kill all the vermin in the world. If you kill these guys, their accomplices will come after you, and you'll have to kill again. The men's faces twisted in displeasure. What nonsense is this madman spouting? So-Hai was still confused. Then how do we resolve this peacefully? Baek Mu-jin pointed at the table, just handle it properly. Instantly, the man's leg froze in place. So-Hai was astonished by this sight. Indeed, a master of ice techniques. Baek Mu-jin instructed the other two, take him away. They didn't dare linger and immediately carried their companion away. So-Hai asked again, in the end, Baek Mu-jin, you didn't kill him? Baek Mu-jin nodded, he's still breathing, so he's probably not dead. So-Hai smiled, perhaps. She immediately stood up, and didn't forget to ask Baek Mu-jin to stand up with her. He understood and smiled, standing up, all right. A moment later, outside a certain cliff face, Baek Mu-jin and So-Hai stood facing each other below. She glanced upward, I didn't know there was a place like this around here. It's quiet, and I really like it. Baek Mu-jin smiled, luckily, this place is suitable for a duel. It's a good place indeed. So-Hai proactively drew her sword. Never before have I drawn my sword so quickly upon meeting an opponent. This means that we rate that fighter very highly. I don't mean anything by it, but no one has ever fought me and lived before. Baek Mu-jin continued, it seems that the little palace master is very strong. So-Hai snorted coldly, thinking to herself, I must win quickly but let him live and then leave. After all, my opponent is from the Northern Heavenly Alliance. Baek Mu-jin observed for a while longer, then asked, are you really going to fight with a sword? So-Hai was puzzled, is that not allowed? Mu-jin asked again, is your sword your greatest strength? So-Hai was even more confused, so what if it is? Baek Mu-jin replied, I don't use a sword casually. So-Hai was dumbfounded, then when do you use it? Baek Mu-jin's face turned serious, when I need to make absolutely sure of killing someone. Isn't that the purpose of a sword? So-Hai's eyes widened, she thought to herself, how can there be someone like this? After a moment's thought, she sheathed her sword. Let's try palm techniques first. If we can't decide a victor that way, then we'll use swords. Baek Mu-jin readily agreed. They then put their swords aside. The two faced each other for a moment. Baek Mu-jin was the first to break the silence. Let's begin. So-Hai let out a breath, thinking, this is a lot of talk for a duel. These righteous sects are such a nuisance. She then warned with a fierce tone, be careful then. Baek Mu-jin's expression also turned serious. So-Hai's inner fire quickly erupted. Her eyes became sharper than ever before. She launched the first attack, a palm strike carrying a powerful fiery energy aimed at Baek Mu-jin's face. But he easily dodged it. The two quickly engaged exchange of blows. So-Hai attacked relentlessly, but Baek Mu-jin dodged every strike. After a while, he found an opening and unleashed the Baek Flame Divine Arts, 4-star. A palm strike carrying powerful icy energy struck So-Hai's hand directly. She was caught off guard and startled. Her body was sent flying. She crashed into a rock face, creating a cloud of dust. Baek Mu-jin saw this and couldn't help but berate himself. I couldn't control my strength. Should it end like this? But very quickly, So-Hai burst from the dust cloud, seething with killing intent. Her face was covered in dust, but her eyes were sharp. Baek Mu-jin saw her return and his expression hardened. So-Hai floated in the air, channeling her fiery energy into her hands. Immediately afterward, she unleashed a palm strike. Below, Baek Mu-jin also launched his attack. Ice quickly condensed in his palm. He used the ice to create a shield around himself to block So-Hai's flames. So-Hai suddenly clapped her hands together. She quickly appeared in front of Baek Mu-jin. The two attacks collided. A massive explosion erupted. Smoke and dust rose up, covering everywhere. So-Hai inside the smoke and dust was sitting slumped in one place. She glanced behind her. Baek Mu-jin was on a nearby cliff. He was looking at her, silently marveling, truly a dangerous woman. Seeing he was unharmed, So-Hai unleashed another burst of fire. She quickly got up. The raging red flames once again surged towards Baek Mu-jin. He again deployed his ice energy to form the ice essence. The two attacks collided violently once more. Baek Mu-jin no longer stood passively. He launched a counterattack. His ice energy condensed into an ice essence that he held in his hand. He then threw it towards So-Hai. Her expression tightened, but she showed no fear. Facing the oncoming ice essence, she didn't dodge but swung her arm, unleashing her fire energy. She focused her fire energy into her palm. Seeing the ice essence approaching, she let out a roar. Immediately, she released the fire energy from her palm. The fire and ice energy were about to collide directly. Another massive explosion erupted. So-Hai stood there, seeing nothing but smoke and dust. Quickly, Baek Mu-jin's figure emerged from behind the smoke. He looked at her admiringly. Incredible. So-Hai coldly snorted, "We're both in danger." Baek Mu-jin silently countered, "No, only you. I thought 4 stars was enough, but it seems I need to raise it to 5. Thinking this, he gathered his energy to unleash the Baek Flame Divine Arts, 5 stars. This time, his ice energy was far stronger. So-Hai was equally determined, thinking, whether Baek Mu-jin lives or dies, I must win. But quickly, her eyes widened in astonishment. The aura emanating from Baek Mu-jin was completely different from before. This surprised So-Hai. What? He hasn't been using his full strength until now. Her eyes narrowed in displeasure. This guy, let's see how strong he really is. Thinking this, she lunged forward. Baek Mu-jin looked at her with a serious expression. Both of So-Hai's arms blazed with intense flames. But Baek Mu-jin was not confused at all, calmly raising his hand to welcome him. The two once again fought head-on. Both locked eyes, staring intently at each other. So-Hai's face contorted in clear discomfort. Baek Mu-jin remained indifferent. She suddenly stamped her feet hard, causing the ground to tremble. The two continued to grapple fiercely, neither yielding. So-Hai pondered inwardly, feeling as if she were facing an eternal wall of ice. The cold aura emanating from Baek Mu-jin began to spread along his arms. This greatly surprised So-Hai. A slight smirk played on Baek Mu-jin's lips. So-Hai felt as if she had fallen into an endless expanse of ice and snow. She stared dumbfounded, unable to believe it. Panic rising, she frantically looked around. Soon, she felt an icy chill that pierced her to the bone. Powerless, she knelt down, curling her body into a ball. Her body was now enveloped in a layer of icy aura. Her flames were completely unable to withstand Baek Mu-jin's icy aura. But she didn't give up because of it. Quickly, the flames flickered again. The icy aura surrounding her was then shattered. This surprised Baek Mu-jin. So-Hai had risen again. The cold had been temporarily dispelled. In her palm, a flame burned fiercely. Her expression was grim. Baek Mu-jin couldn't help but admire her. "Stubborn, aren't you?" She released a flame condensed within her consciousness. As soon as it landed, it created a sea of fire around her. The ice was also suppressed. Broken, Baek Mu-jin still has no action but to silently observe. After a hard fight, So-Hai finally breathed a sigh of relief. Her face contorted as she looked up at him. "I almost froze to death." She regained her composure, grabbing Baek Mu-jin with both hands. Then she kicked him hard. Baek Mu-jin was caught off guard and sent flying. He slid a long distance before managing to stop himself. He wasn't significantly affected, he was simply pushed back. So-Hai, in front of him, was once again gathering flames. Then she slammed her fist into the ground. Flames then erupted from the ground on both sides of Baek Mu-jin. Her face now showed confidence. She then clapped her hands together. 2 streams of flames converged and shot towards Baek Mu-jin. His eyes once again sharpened. A powerful explosion erupted. Baek Mu-jin's figure flew up through the dust and smoke. Seeing this, So-Hai swung her arm, manipulating the flames. Fiery energy quickly surged from all directions in pursuit. Baek Mu-jin hurriedly turned to dodge. He quickly landed on a nearby cliff face. So-Hai, of course, wouldn't let him off that easily. The fiery energy charged again wildly. Baek Mu-jin had no choice but to continue dodging. He was very puzzled. What kind of martial art was this? So-Hai roared, putting more strength into it. The flames, previously yellow, now turned bright red. She clenched her fists and then punched them together. Her gaze grew colder. Numerous cracks appeared in the ground beneath Baek Mu-jin's feet, glowing red. He startled, lifting his head to look at her. So-Hai's hands clenched even tighter. The cracks in the ground became more pronounced. Then she spread her arms, creating a large roaring flame. Another powerful explosion erupted. So-Hai's eyes widened in surprise. Because her flames were gradually being overwhelmed by the cold energy, Baek Mu-jin's figure was enveloped and he stepped out from the cold energy. He then unleashed absolute chill. One strike white knight. A massive ice explosion erupted. Terrible cold energy filled the sky. The entire mountain range was covered in frost, like a snowfall. Baek Mu-jin stood in the center like an ice god. He had now reached So-Hai. She too was now enveloped in the cold energy. He silently stood there, watching. Soon, numerous cracks appeared on her body from the cold energy. Immediately after, they were shattered again. Baek Mujin was surprised. She's awake. So-hi, although awake, remained standing still. Her eyes were dull and her mouth kept moaning. Immediately after that she fell to the ground unconscious. Baek Mujin hurriedly sat down to check on her. Could it be that her martial arts are incompatible with mine? To endure this much is quite impressive. By the way, I apologize for laying a hand on you. He then picked her up. As he lifted her, he exclaimed, incredible, such a frail young woman dare to fight me. So-hi was unconscious at this point, completely out of it, so it was unclear whether she heard him. Baek Mujin carried her away from there. While walking, Baek Mujin suddenly gasped. He inhaled the scent of flowers carried on the wind. He then lowered his head to look at the unconscious So-hi in his arms. Then he sighed. He then quickened his pace and ran. While running, So-hi suddenly woke up and exclaimed, "Put me down." Baek Mujin was startled, his face flushed red, and he dropped her. So-hi was unceremoniously thrown to the ground. Baek Mujin panicked, waving his hands in explanation. There was no other way. It was because she was unconscious that I had to carry her. As he was explaining, So-hi produced a handkerchief and offered it to him. Seeing his puzzled expression, she told him to quickly wipe his face. Baek Mujin blankly used the handkerchief to wipe his face. It was then that he noticed the floral scent emanating from the handkerchief. Seeing him standing there dumbfounded, So-hi reached out for her sword. Very quickly, she returned to her initial composed demeanor. Then she sincerely bowed her head. "Thank you for showing mercy, I've lost. But I want to try again next time." Baek Mujin smiled. "Again?" "I don't want to." His reply puzzled So-hi. "Why?" Baek Mujin pondered internally. "What's the point of fighting if you're not a match?" He then said, "Let's meet again in 10 years. This made So-hi very unhappy. She coldly snorted. She clasped her hands, then, "Until next time." Baek Mujin, without objection, clasped his hands in return. "All right." So-hi then turned and left. Baek Mujin watched her retreating back, pondering, "I wonder if she'll be all right on her way home." The more he thought about it, the more uneasy he felt. Finally, he took the initiative to call out to her. "Miss Jin Young, I'll wait for you at the Jin clan's trading house before returning." This greatly confused So-hi. "It's all right, I'll go alone." Baek Mujin threatened, "If you disobey, I'll subdue you and take you there." So-hi was stunned. "Subdue me?" Baek Mujin's face turned serious. "Do I have to use force to make you listen?" So-hi had no choice but to smile and hum. "Okay, let's go." On the other side, the flames continued to rage relentlessly. Corpses were constantly being thrown into the fire. Yet, many more corpses remained outside. Not far away, a man silently observed. He sat there with a flask of alcohol, turning his head to look at the corpses on the ground. Even as a dying man, he had stubbornly resisted to the very end. This man was none other than Li Gan's left servant. Those corpses were from the sacred fire palace, a subordinate added. He was probably responsible for escorting the young palace master. The young man instructed, "First, record his physical characteristics and investigate who he is." Another man approached. "Vice leader, someone near Z City recently reported seeing a young couple. Based on the description, the girl might be the young palace master." The young man was slightly surprised. "What, killed their leader and then went off to have an affair? That's ridiculous," the other replied, somewhat uncertainly. "But the companion, based on the description, seems to be," the young man prompted, "seems to be." The subordinate replied, "It seems to be Baek Mujin of the Northern Heavenly Alliance." Meanwhile, Baek Mujin and So-hi were walking through the forest. They were completely unaware of what had happened to the left servant. Baek Mujin couldn't help but speak. "Miss Chen, about what just happened?" He turned around and was startled, because So-hi had already run off. Her face clearly showed worry, because there was black smoke rising ahead. That was the Jin clan's caravan, where our sacred fire palace subordinates were stationed. Baek Mujin behind her also noticed something and his face furrowed. "Something's burning." Without further words, they both quickened their pace. They quickly arrived at the spot where Li Gan and his men had perished. So-hi was stunned, unable to believe her eyes. Baek Mujin was also very surprised. Li Gan's body knelt there, tragically disfigured. Behind him, the bodies of the others were continuously burning. Baek Mujin was filled with doubt. Who had done this? So-hi ran over and embraced Li Gan's body. She didn't cry, but stared straight ahead. Soon, a voice rang out, "Hugging a corpse like that will bring him back to life, will it? Come have a drink." Baek Mujin, and young palace master. So-hi coldly looked at him and asked, "Who are you?" He asked back, "Have you heard of Yo Jaeyeon?" Baek Mujin frowned. "From the Iron Blood sect." Yo Jaeyeon sharply replied, "The youth of today have no manners." "That's right, I am the vice leader of the Iron Blood sect." So-hi gently laid Li Gan's body on the ground. Then she used her hand to gently close his eyes. She then stood up. "Left servant really likes wine. I have to drink a glass of that wine." Saying this, her eyes looking towards Yo Jaeyeon carried a fierce murderous intent. Yo Jaeyeon completely ignored her, remaining calm. "Come, I'll pour you a drink." So-hi was about to step forward, but Baek Mujin cut in front of her. "Isn't the little palace master unable to drink? I'll drink for her." He quickly sat opposite Yo Jaeyeon. The other party smiled and poured him a drink. I hear you killed Max Sokwang and Ban Goyong. Baek Mujin calmly nodded, correct. Having said that, he raised the cup and drained it in one gulp. Yo Jaeyeon burst into laughter. I never thought we'd meet so easily. You even brought the little palace master who killed him Gassen. So-hai sat down beside him, her face icy. Baek Mujin blurted out, give me a cup. Yo Jaeyeon didn't refuse, smiling as she poured more alcohol. Alright, on days like these, one must drink. Let me offer you a cup, young miss. So-hai reached for the cup, but Baek Mujin stopped her. I'll drink for you. So-hai firmly took the cup. I'm not drinking for myself, this is for the left servant. Having said that, she drained it in one gulp. She then requested another cup. Yo Jaeyeon laughed even harder. Drink up, excellent, excellent. By the way, that fellow over there, is he the left servant of the Sacred Fire Palace? No wonder his martial arts are so good. I was very curious about him when the Hall Masters were in trouble. He was truly tenacious. Even when injured, he fought back fiercely, so I had to cut off his legs first, then his arms, and then he said, he paused, because Baek Mujin had swatted his hand away, along with a palm strike aimed at his head. Yo Jaeyeon wasn't a pushover either. He too swung his arms, continuously parrying Baek Mujin's attacks. His eyes narrowed, he was very confused. What was this guy doing? After a moment, he saw an opportunity and aimed a finger at Baek Mujin's back of the hand. But unexpectedly, Baek Mujin twisted his hand, preparing a counterattack. Yo Jaeyeon's arm was thus knocked back. He couldn't help but be surprised, turning his head to look at his arm. One of his fingers was now covered in ice essence. Ice technique. He immediately clenched his fist. A punch aimed straight at Baek Mujin's face. Baek Mujin's expression was serious, but he showed no fear. He simultaneously raised his palm to block. Yo Jaeyeon's expression became even more shocked. Because of this move, he was at a disadvantage and was knocked off the table. The men behind him hurriedly supported him, helping him stand firm again. The blow had left him very uncomfortable. The hand that had just clashed with Baek Mujin was deformed and in excruciating pain. He quickly circulated his energy to stabilize himself. A pleased expression then appeared on his lips. He then shouted, ordering his subordinates to attack the two. They were about to attack when a voice stopped them. Wait a moment. Baek Mujin stood up, smiling. We should have fought more moderately earlier. What should we do now? So-hai agreed. Brother, you're right. In any case, Brother Mujin, let me personally kill him. Baek Mujin didn't refuse but readily agreed. Yo Jaeyeon listened to their conversation and couldn't help but laugh. These two brats are crazy. Baek Mujin looked puzzled. Why have you been laughing since earlier? Many of your subordinates have died. Yo Jaeyeon laughed with even more interest. Now's not the time to worry about that. Immediately afterward, a terribly grating sound rang out, forcing him to cover his ears. It was the sound of Baek Mujin drawing his sword. His subordinates were similarly affected. Each one clutched their ears and cried out in distress. Yo Jaeyeon's face showed shock. That strange sword drawing sound, it sends chills down my spine. It feels like it's tearing at one's soul. Baek Mujin finally drew his long sword completely, and his eyes turned icy cold. So-hai glanced at his sword blade, and then unconsciously smiled. Remembering his earlier words, I don't use my sword recklessly. She then stood up and drew her own sword. Baek Mujin warned, be careful. So-hai reassured him, I've recovered a lot, so don't worry too much. Yo Jaeyeon loudly yelled at his subordinates, anyone who dares to run will be killed first. Attack and kill them all. Seeing them charge, Baek Mujin also lunged forward, his long sword slashing powerfully. Ice instantly appeared, freezing their swords. Immediately afterward, sword blades sliced across the necks of several men. Blood sprayed out like rain. The attacker was none other than So-hai. Seeing their comrades fall, the remaining men attacked even more ferociously. So-hai, unafraid, gripped her sword and charged. Baek Mujin on the other side swung his sword wildly, one with fiery flames reaching the sky, the other with ice engulfing the ground. Ice and fire combined in an attack against the men. The two opposing forces combined to create a cross-shaped attack. This caused Yo Jaeyeon in the back to gape in astonishment. The crowd was attacked and had no way to avoid it. They were sent flying and screamed miserably. Yo Jaeyeon reached out and grabbed the collar of a subordinate beside him, then forcefully threw him forward. He collided with So-hai's combined attack, his body instantly pulverized. The terrifying power of their combined ice and fire techniques further shocked Yo Jaeyeon. Not stopping there, the two So-hais continued their frenzied assault. Soon their bodies were drenched in blood. Seeing his subordinates continually fall before him, Yo Jaeyeon's fear grew. He couldn't believe how strong they were, and how perfectly coordinated their swordsmanship was. This wasn't a battle, it was a massacre by the two So-hais, because their coordination was impeccable. Soon, corpses littered the ground. So-hai, who had only recently recovered, was starting to tire, gasping for breath. Baek Mujin noticed this and pondered. She's exhausted, dealing with these low-level thugs isn't a problem, but what will happen when Yo Jaeyeon makes his move? The two then separated again, each slaughtering their opponents. Baek Mujin swung his sword, unleashing his chi. a terrifying cold aura instantly freezing several opponents. So-Hai seized the opportunity, finishing them off. Her body was now covered in blood. Gasping, she stood there, staring ahead. Her expression filled Yo Jaeyeon with dread. Her next target was clearly him. She didn't immediately attack, but glanced at Baek Mu-jin as if seeking his approval. He understood and shouted, "The Sacred Fire Palace's Little Palace Master and the Iron Blood Sect's Vice Sect Master will duel. As you can see, the Little Palace Master is exhausted from dealing with you." So-Hai interrupted angrily. "Tired? Who says I'm tired?" Baek Mu-jin ignored her, continuing to yell, "Yo Jaeyeon, if you are a man, and if you deserve the title of Vice Sect Master of the Iron Blood Sect, then fight me yourself. There's no reason for you to refuse this duel, is there? Are you planning to sacrifice your subordinates to wear her down? But if you do, all your subordinates will die. If you don't want them all to die, then step forward." The Iron Blood Sect members cried out, "Vice Sect Master, this is a one-on-one duel. Too many of our men have died. You should fight. I and the Hall Masters will take responsibility for this." Yo Jaeyeon roared angrily. "Responsibility? What right do you have to talk about responsibility?" So-Hai also spoke. "Yo Jaeyeon, are you that afraid of me?" Faced with this provocation, he let out a cruel laugh. "Ha ha, Baek Mu-jin is very good, you cunning thing. You intend to wait for an opportunity and then secretly strike, right?" Baek Mu-jin's face was serious. Revenge was the Little Palace Master's job. Upon hearing this, Yo Jaeyeon drew his sword. "All right, come on then. Let me see how skilled the Sacred Fire Palace's young Palace Master truly is." So-Hai closed her eyes and took a deep breath. "I know what you're thinking. But I beg you, absolutely do not interfere." Baek Mu-jin remained silent, offering no opinion. So-Hai didn't say anything more, gripping her sword hilt tightly. Immediately, she lunged forward. Yo Jaeyeon on the other side also raised his sword. His sword was unusually long, making it difficult for So-Hai to get close. He swung his sword wildly. "You can't even get near me." So-Hai didn't care, resolutely parrying his blows. Baek Mu-jin watched from behind, deep in thought. It's not easy to approach someone wielding a long sword. After a moment, So-Hai began to gather energy in her other hand. A burst of flames quickly appeared in her hand. Without hesitation, she threw it at her opponent. Seeing this, Yo Jaeyeon grabbed the clothes of one of his subordinates behind him, using the man as a shield against the flames. The remaining subordinates behind him broke out in a cold sweat at his ruthlessness. Yo Jaeyeon continued to roar and swing his sword. Sword energy rained down on So-Hai. Witnessing this technique, Baek Mu-jin couldn't help but widen his eyes. For So-Hai, all she could see was a sky full of sword light. Even so, her eyes remained exceptionally calm. Her mind recalled her memories from the Sacred Fire Palace. Under her master's tutelage, she had trained relentlessly, again and again. So-Hai collapsed to the ground, exhausted and powerless, Leek sighed, overwhelmed by the opponent's aura. Launching a powerful attack is the shortest path to defeat. So-Hai frowned. "If the opponent is strong, shouldn't I fight even stronger? How can I win with half-hearted moves?" Leek advised. "Keep calm and open your mind to see the opponent's weaknesses. Just like a small flame can create a large fire. Subtle, sharp moves that penetrate the enemy's weak points, that is the way of the master. Like a gentle breeze can topple a great tree, a small flame, silently ignited, can become a raging inferno that shakes the heavens and earth, consuming the enemy." Shifting back to reality, So-Hai slowly closed her eyes. Despite the opponent's attack striking right before her, Baek Mu-jin panicked behind her. "Young miss." So-Hai completely ignored him. She didn't dodge, she didn't parry. In front of her, Yo Jaeyeon continued to wildly swing his sword. So-Hai steadily advanced. This greatly amused him. "You're crazy. You dare to step in here without any fear. Because you're the Sacred Fire Palace's young palace master, I was going to spare you, but from today, the Sacred Fire Palace will face its doom." So-Hai's long sword was knocked from her hand. Baek Mu-jin saw that and became even more worried. His sword-wielding arm tightened, ready to strike. At this moment, So-Hai's voice rang out. "I see it. I've seen it." Amidst the storm of sword energy, she had seen her opponent's opening. She clenched her fist and raised it forward. Then decisively clenched it again. A small flame then shot out. It weaved through the gaps between the flying sword energies. It flew unimpeded, nearing Yo Jaeyeon. He didn't realize it until it struck his neck. So-Hai coldly snorted. A small flame can also become a flame that shakes the heavens and earth, and will burn the enemy. Immediately afterward, the flame erupted violently, accompanied by Yo Jaeyeon's agonizing scream. He was thus consumed by the blazing inferno. Baek Mu-jin, witnessing all this, widened his eyes in astonishment. So-Hai, having expended all her strength, collapsed. Baek Mu-jin rushed to catch her. "Jin Ran, young miss, you okay?" So-Hai gasped, leaning against him without replying. Baek Mu-jin gently laid her on the ground. So-Hai's weary gasps continued, and she fell asleep. Baek Mu-jin frowned thoughtfully. "Energy deviation. It can't be, I have to transmit chi." Thinking this, he placed his hand on her forehead, then began to transmit his chi. But immediately, he was startled. because a fiery energy erupted from Sohai's body, repelling his hand. This greatly puzzled Baek Mu-jin. What is this? A strange energy with immense force repelled my chi. Unable to understand, he loudly called out to her. Unable to wake her, he condensed cold energy into one finger, then once again touched Sohai's forehead. She quickly let out a sound, slowly waking up. In her daze she unconsciously uttered, "Flame Emperor, suppress it with chi." Baek Mu-jin was shocked. "Flame Emperor, I have to regulate my chi." "Jin young miss, can you still endure it?" Sohai continued. "Take me somewhere with no one." Baek Mu-jin was very confused. No one? What exactly is the Flame Emperor? Why does she need to go somewhere with no one? Although he didn't understand what was going on, he still helped her up. "Miss Tran Young, please try to endure it. I'll ask for your permission." He just like that lifted her onto his back and took their swords. I told myself, be patient a little longer, I will immediately take you to a deserted place. Immediately afterward, he used mobility arts to fly away. He moved with incredible speed, flying through the forest. His mind raced. What is the Flame Emperor? A Fire King or elixirs? Miss Chen, you must explain clearly for me to help. Sohai lay silently on his back as he carried her. Dawn broke quickly. More people from the Sacred Fire Palace arrived at the battlefield. This person was the Sacred Fire Palace's right servant, Lee Mongyom. Two others approached, asking what happened. Lee Mongyom instructed, "Check the surroundings, the fire is almost out, we may be too late." The two immediately went to investigate. Soon, news of Lee Gun's death arrived. Lee Mongyom knelt before Lee Gun's body, berating himself. "Older brother, I'm too late, why are you here?" Another voice spoke. It seemed to be Yo Jaeyeon, the Iron Blood sect's vice leader. Lee Mongyom asked, "Did you see any trace of the young palace master?" The man shook his head. "No, she was probably taken by the Iron Blood sect." Lee Mongyom countered, "No, Yo Jaeyeon is dead, another force must be involved." The others suggested a name. Could it be the Nine Heaven Alliance? Lee Mongyom instructed, "First, Protector Jiang, take older brother back to the Yin clan. Bangik, report to the palace master. Be truthful so the palace master can make a judgment. I'll search for the young palace master in the opposite direction. If I find nothing, I'll return to the Yin clan. There might be Iron Blood sect forces nearby, so be careful. After returning older brother, let's destroy the Iron Blood sect together." The two nodded seriously. "Of course, we'll prepare immediately after reporting. Take care, see you at the Yin clan." Elsewhere, inside a simple house deep within the forest, Sohai, brought there by Baek Mu-jin, lay on a mat. He used a wet cloth to tend to her. But as soon as the wet cloth touched her, the heat caused it to evaporate. This puzzled Baek Mu-jin. It was strange. What exactly is the Flame Emperor? He then took Sohai's hand to feel her pulse. The room was silent. But immediately afterward, a terrifying flame erupted. Baek Mu-jin was startled, his eyes wide. Is this the Flame Emperor's aura? He didn't panic. Calmly, he closed his eyes. With the hand holding Sohai's, he channeled his cold energy. Sohai quickly regained consciousness and screamed. Baek Mu-jin asked, "You all right? What happened? How can I help? What is this Flame Emperor you kept mentioning while unconscious?" Sohai explained, "The Flame Emperor is the foundation of my martial arts. I must begin to regulate my chi." She then removed her robe and sat cross-legged to meditate. Before meditating, she addressed Baek Mu-jin. "If I don't wake up after regulating my chi, could you please return my remains to my father?" Baek Mu-jin frowned. "Remains? Why such frightening words? If I can't control the Flame Emperor and return it to my Dantian, I'll likely die. I will become one with the fire. I have practiced such martial arts." Baek Mu-jin frowned. How to help her? Sohai explained, "When it erupts, father and the left and right servants will transmit similar internal energy to support my great heavenly circulation and then suppress the Flame Emperor. Now the left servant is in trouble. Even if the other two find me, they may not be able to suppress it. For now, I will fend for myself." Baek Mu-jin, "Thank you for your help." He fell silent for a long while, then spoke. "Miss Chen, that energy called the Flame Emperor, let me try to suppress it." Sohai sighed. "Our internal energy isn't of the same origin, so it will be difficult for you to endure it. It might even burn the White Patriarch." Baek Mu-jin snorted coldly upon hearing that. "Wants to burn me? Miss Chen, I'm sorry, but do I look weaker than the Sacred Fire Palace Master and the left and right servants?" Sohai replied, "Not necessarily, but the three of them working together would be enough." Baek Mu-jin coldly interrupted with a laugh. "Remember our martial arts competition? Could those three overwhelm me even if they combined their forces? You know their martial arts. And you've fought me before, so you should know. What do you think?" Sohai was drenched in sweat, thinking to herself, could father and the left and right servants defeat the White Patriarch if they work together? Baek Mu-jin smiled confidently, answering for her, "No, even if the three of them combine their forces, they can't." Sohai smiled. "So you'll help me?" Baek Mu-jin nodded. "Let me try." Waiting for Baek Mu-jin to go behind her, she explained, "I will perform the great heavenly circulation, but my strength isn't enough, my meridians will be blocked. Don't force it. If you're tired, retract your chi. Let's try our best together." I don't want to die together, this was what she told herself. Baek Mujin placed his hands on her back and told her to begin. Whether it's the Flame Emperor or the Yang King, let's try. Both of them then closed their eyes. Then they both cultivated their chi. Baek Mujin began to transmit cold chi into Sohai's body. He could feel the intense fire chi in her dantian. Before him was a raging, flickering flame. He widened his eyes and observed it. The flame danced before him. He looked at the flame and thought to himself, this is called the Flame Emperor. Chi continuously flowed into Sohai's body. Everything on the outside appeared calm. Sohai could still hold on. And so could Baek Mujin. Suddenly he snorted coldly. No matter how great the technique or how fated it is, no matter what that flame signifies, even if it's the destiny of the sacred fire palace, it cannot swallow me. Baek Mujin, brimming with confidence, clasped his hands together. The flames before him surged forward. Cold chi quickly appeared on his palms. He then swung his palm. The cold chi struck the fire chi, stopping it. Outside, his chi is also crazily transmitting into his body. Sohai, her face was now covered in sweat and her expression was grimacing. The flames within her body raged even more fiercely, fixated on Baek Mujin. He couldn't help but be astonished, lifting his head to look up, because the fiery energy had transformed into a face staring intently at him. Baek Mujin pondered, a fire dragon, is it an illusion I'm imagining? Or is this truly the form of the Flame Emperor? It's as if it's mocking me. Thinking this, he channeled his energy and unleashed the Baek Flame Divine Arts, reaching the 5-star realm. Then the 6-star realm. He didn't stop there, continuing to ascend to the 7-star realm. Several divine figures appeared beside him. This greatly astonished Baek Mujin. He glanced around in doubt, exclaiming, someone. No, wait, it's just an illusion. The fire dragon in front of him began to stir, opening its mouth to spew flames towards him. Baek Mujin showed no fear, calmly raising his hand to fight. The flames and icy energy collided. Baek Mujin pondered in his heart. Is this a world without sound? I can't hear anything. Outside, he remained with closed eyes, channeling his energy. Sohai was doing the same. The Baek Flame Divine Arts had now been raised to 8 stars. Inside, the icy energy in his dantian raged violently. The Flame Emperor's flames still couldn't do anything to him. Baek Mujin roared angrily. The icy energy erupted even more forcefully, repelling the flames. The fire dragon didn't weaken, continuing to exert more force. Baek Mujin's face began to show some tension. Just then, several footsteps approached. The figures from before reappeared, standing shoulder to shoulder with him. They then simultaneously attacked to help him defend. 9 figures unleashed icy energy together against the Flame Emperor. This greatly surprised Baek Mujin. Among them, he saw his father. Beside him was his paternal grandfather. It turned out they were the previous patriarchs of the Baek clan. The Flame Emperor in front of him was now at a disadvantage. The figures charged forward together, repelling the fire dragon. Baek Mujin shouted from behind, please don't endanger yourselves for me. No need to go that far, please let me take care of this myself. Dear patriarchs, I am not worthy of everyone sacrificing for me like this. Regardless of his cries, the battle raged on intensely, and the group showed no sign of retreating. Baek Mujin, seeing this, drew his sword, since it came to this. He gripped the hilt with both hands, raising it before him, sacrificing his unified cold chi. Mind sword unity. He and his sword quickly became one, then he launched himself forward. His gaze was now more resolute than ever. The fire dragon opposite him also had its eyes glowing red. Baek Mujin, without hesitation, plunged his sword straight towards its head. The two very quickly clashed head-on. The fire dragon roared in agony, its form slowly shattering. Outside, Sohai violently coughed at the same time. Baek Mujin kept his eyes closed, immersed in his consciousness. This unified cold chi. The ancestor patriarchs also drew their swords. They also performed mind sword unity together. 9 attacks quickly continued towards the fire dragon. The fire dragon could not resist and could only accept its fate. Sohai outside was even more terrified, her mouth agape. The people then went behind Baek Mujin to transmit chi to him. Absolute chill, 1 strike white knight. The fire dragon's head was now riddled with sword wounds. A cold light quickly erupted from the sword wounds. Sohai's body outside also underwent similar changes. The fire dragon was finally defeated and dissipated. Along with that, countless snowflakes fluttered in the wind. Baek Mujin knelt on the ground, clasped his hands, and bid farewell to his ancestors. His great-grandfather's approving voice rang out, well done, grandson. You've worked hard, my son. He looked up at the dissipating snowflakes and smiled. Thank you, everyone, father, great-grandfather. Because of his outburst, the sky outside was also affected, with snow falling heavily. The transmission of skills finally ended. The Flame Emperor was completely suppressed by Baek Mujin. He also retracted his chi and his arm. Sohai also breathed a sigh of relief. Baek Mujin slowly opened his eyes. He could see the chi gathering behind Sohai. The highest level of martial arts, the 3 flowers gathering at the crown, where the image of 3 flowers appeared on her head when she regulated her breath. but the Tran young miss made the flowers bloom from behind. She's stronger than before. Cold air also erupted from behind Baek Mu-jin. Immediately after, it erupted even more violently. The cold air turned into a pair of wings behind him. So-hai quickly woke up. Baek Mu-jin, the great warrior, thanked him. Seeing her awake, he was startled. She's awake already. So-hai looked at him questioningly. You all right, brother? Baek Mu-jin nodded. Oh, I'm fine. How is Miss Jin Young? So-hai stretched, loosening her limbs. Thanks to you, brother, I'm much better. Perhaps because I've completed the great heavenly circulation, my body feels lighter than usual. Baek Mu-jin asked again, how is the Flame Emperor's chi? So-hai replied, it seems to have subsided. The great warrior Mu-jin's chi is even purer than I imagined. I was worried that the extreme yin internal energy would have an effect, but thankfully, it was just an illusion. Similar to when my father and the left-hand servant helped, I'm stable now. Baek Mu-jin questioned, what exactly is the Flame Emperor? You may not believe it, but I saw an illusion when I was helping you, a giant fire dragon hidden within your body. So-hai was astonished. Brother, are you telling the truth? Baek Mu-jin's face turned serious. How could I lie about that? So-hai asked again, what about the fire dragon? Baek Mu-jin smiled triumphantly. I crushed it. So-hai couldn't help but gasp. She raised her hand, and flames emanated from it. Very quickly, a flame appeared in her palm. She observed the flame and silently marveled. How can I manipulate chi so effortlessly? Unable to figure it out, she continued to circulate her chi. Flames continuously danced around her body. Baek Mu-jin silently stood to the side, observing everything. After a while, So-hai glanced back at him. Icy chi was also emanating from Mu-jin's arm. He raised his hand questioningly to examine it. The icy chi spontaneously erupted without him needing to activate it. So-hai saw this and waved her hand. Up, a stream of fire flew over, mixed with his cold air. Ice and fire, seemingly opposites, harmonized beautifully. A smile appeared on So-hai's lips, showing her joy. Baek Mu-jin showed a similar expression. Then, the two of them practiced martial arts together. Ice and fire intertwined with each of their movements. After a while, a purple light formed between them. Both stopped, at which point an ice-fire bagua formation formed beneath their feet. So-hai looked sincerely at the man in front of her and said, thank you, brother. Baek Mu-jin smiled. It's fortunate that you've recovered. So-hai looked at him with tender eyes. Facing her gaze, Mu-jin's face flushed. They stood there, looking at each other. So-hai then closed her eyes and tilted her head up, implying, take me now. Baek Mu-jin smiled at this. He reached out to take her hand. As they were about to share a passionate kiss, a voice called from outside, young palace master. Immediately after that, someone rushed in from the roof. The two So-hai looked up in surprise. Lee Mong-yeom charged in, shouting, let go of her immediately. He stormed in, his killing intent palpable. The two So-hai stared dumbfounded. Lee Mong-yeom glared sharply at Baek Mu-jin. Immediately, he unleashed a flurry of palm strikes. Baek Mu-jin held So-hai with one arm and parried the blows with the other. After a while, Lee Mong-yeom began to unleash his chi. Seeing this, Baek Mu-jin condensed ice energy in his palm. So-hai was terrified at the sight. But before she could stop him, he struck. Fire and ice energy clashed. Lee Mong-yeom was no match for Baek Mu-jin. The ice energy pierced through the flames and enveloped him. So-hai cried out in alarm, stop, you're not enemies. Baek Mu-jin immediately clenched his fist. The ice energy was about to strike, but Lee Mong-yeom vanished. He escaped unharmed, but was inwardly terrified. Was that a white flame? Baek Mu-jin remained grim-faced. A moment of silence followed. So-hai finally broke the silence. Can you let go of me? Baek Mu-jin blushed, embarrassed, and quickly released her. Oh, I'm sorry. Lee Mong-yeom anxiously asked, little palace master, you all right? So-hai shook her head. I'm fine. She then introduced, this is my right-hand servant. My left-hand servant is dead, so he's still shaken. And this is Baek Mu-jin, a great warrior of the Northern Heavenly Alliance. He saved me from the Flame Emperor. Hearing this, Lee Mong-yeom's face turned pale. The Flame Emperor? No way. Who is he to subdue the Flame Emperor? After a moment, he calmed down. Let's hear what happened first. After hearing So-hai's story, he understood, so that's what happened. So the little palace master almost died. So-hai sighed helplessly. How many times do I have to say this? He was still astonished. I can't believe it. So-hai waved her hand. My right-hand servant just checked my meridians. He nodded. That's true. He pondered. The little palace master witnessed her left-hand servant's death. Her chi went haywire, leading to unconsciousness, but she was saved by Baek Mu-jin. More importantly, he subdued the Flame Emperor, something that even the palace master and her left-hand servant together couldn't do. Who is this Baek Mu-jin? So-hai spoke again. My right-hand servant should apologize for his earlier actions. He's my savior. Lee Mong-yeom finally relented and nodded. I sincerely apologize for my earlier behavior. Thank you for saving the little palace master. Baek Mu-jin nodded. It was nothing. It was my duty. Lee Mong-yeom continued. By the way, the Snow Mountain Baek clan, I've never heard of them. Baek Mu-jin calmly replied. Naturally, he asked. You use ice-based martial arts? That's rare. Strange, I didn't know. I'm interested in extraordinary individuals and consider myself knowledgeable about martial artists everywhere, but this is the first time I've heard of an ice-based martial arts expert. Baek Mujin explained, the Snow Mountain Baek clan. No, previous generations of patriarchs didn't involve themselves in Jianghu. It was their wish not to appear in Jianghu. I am the exception. Both Sohais were surprised. An exception? You mean you are the current patriarch of the Snow Mountain Baek clan? Baek Mujin calmly nodded. That's right. I'm the Baek clan patriarch, but I'm also a warrior of the Northern Heavenly Alliance. Li Mongyong pondered, a clan patriarch serving as a warrior for the Northern Heavenly Alliance. There must be something more to this. The more I know, the more interesting he becomes. Sohai gasped in surprise. A patriarch? Baek Mujin smiled without answering. The atmosphere here suddenly fell silent. After a while, Li Mongyong spoke up again to break the atmosphere. Little Palace Master, how do you plan to deal with the Iron Blood sect? Sohai immediately clenched her fists, her voice harsh. Of course she had to take revenge. He gritted his teeth in agreement. Revenge isn't enough. I'll ask the Palace Master to erase the Iron Blood sect from the Jianghu. Let's cleanse them with fire. Baek Mujin frowned thoughtfully. Cleansing with fire sounds like the doctrine of some religion. Sohai glanced at him and smiled. I want to cooperate with the Northern Heavenly Alliance. The Sacred Fire Palace joining forces with the Northern Heavenly Alliance will reduce casualties compared to unilateral action. I will discuss this with my father. Baek Mujin also smiled pleasantly upon hearing this. Li Mongyong spoke again. Is that so? That's excellent. After the Iron Blood sect, I intend to attack the Nine Heaven Alliance. Cooperation would be even better. By the way, what is Baek Patriarch's position in the Northern Heavenly Alliance? Baek Mujin replied calmly, I'm just a newly joined recruit. Sohai was stunned. Baek Patriarch is powerful, whether a recruit or not doesn't matter. Li Mongyong suddenly narrowed his eyes, glaring at them. But what is your relationship? Be honest. No matter what you say, I haven't reported it to the Palace Master yet. The two exchanged glances. Sohai then laughed and replied, what relationship? Just benefactor and beneficiary. Baek Mujin also chuckled and scratched his head in agreement. That's right, it's like ice and fire. Sohai pouted and thought to herself, ice and fire. Li Mongyong continued, the little Palace Master currently has a betrothal. Please maintain propriety. Sohai was agitated and stood up abruptly. What betrothal? Li Mongyong continued. Why pretend you don't know? I told you before. Sohai snapped, just cancel the betrothal. I haven't even met him, yet it's considered a betrothal. This is truly forced. Li Mongyong replied, the other party isn't easy to talk to. The Palace Master is worried because the little Palace Master is constantly wandering around competing in martial arts instead of preparing for the wedding. The two then began to argue. I didn't agree. It was all arranged while I was away. This isn't something to be discussed here, little Palace Master. The group then clasped their hands in farewell. Sohai instructed him, I'll see Baek Patriarch off a short distance and come back. Please wait here. Baek Mujin just said he was fine, but she immediately hugged him and dragged him away. After a while, the two were far away from Li Mongyong. Sohai irritably exclaimed, that right servant is talking nonsense. When will we meet again? Baek Mujin questioned. What? She repeated, I asked when we'll meet again. Baek Mujin calmly replied, soon, at the Iron Blood sect, during the revenge. Sohai doubted, but will it be alright? The Northern Heavenly Alliance and the Sacred Fire Palace will clash. Baek Mujin continued, the two of us will negotiate to avoid trouble. Sohai nodded, I can do it because I'm the little Palace Master. What about you? Baek Mujin nodded seriously. Yes. Sohai laughed, you're a new recruit. Baek Mujin asked back, do you remember the feeling when flames and ice meet? Sohai nodded, of course, I remember. Baek Mujin continued, let's practice coordination later. She questioned, how? Baek Mujin explained, I'll freeze, and you'll burn. Sohai smiled, as you command, Patriarch. The two then said goodbye and went their separate ways. Baek Mujin moved while secretly sighing. I've been gone too long, the Alliance leader must think I'm missing. The words cleansing with fire from Li Mongyong kept echoing in his head. While walking, he suddenly stopped. He raised his hand to observe his palm. Immediately, a white flame erupted inside. Baek Mujin was very surprised. Is this a white flame? He remembered then. Just think simply, when helping Sohai, I absorbed some of the Flame Emperor's power. He then swung his arm. The white flame flew away, destroying a nearby skylight. This made him even more surprised. On top of his existing power, there was now also firepower. He then jumped up and accelerated his speed. Go, we are getting stronger. Then let's see where the limit is. The speed is still slower than White Flower Palm. Can he use ice and white flames simultaneously? Baek Mujin, like a streak of white light, flew by. On the other side, flames raged everywhere. Soldiers continuously fell, covered in blood. A fierce battle was unfolding here. A soldier was decapitated by a large man. This man was Zhongshan of the Nine Heaven Alliance Heavenly Dragon Society. After finishing his opponent, he roared, let's go. Let's go to the Northern Heavenly Alliance. Quack, the Heavenly Dragon Society's branch leader, chuckled and said, "We have an appointment with the Iron Blood sect, don't let a single ant escape on the way." The group went along, slaughtering everywhere, leaving a trail of blood. On the city wall, Ji Young-who stood with a furrowed brow, observing below. After a while, he asked, "Baek Mu-jin hasn't returned yet?" The person behind replied, "We haven't received any news." Ji Young-who fell into thought once more. The Nine Heaven Alliance's men quickly arrived at the foot of the city wall. Ji Young-who drew his sword and sighed, "What a pity, I intended to use this opportunity to show him my greatness." The people below also looked up with furrowed brows. One of them roared, "The alliance leader of the Northern Heavenly Alliance, I'm here to avenge my brothers." This was Kwon Min-kung, the leader of the Iron Blood sect. Ji Young-who chuckled, "For a few insects, you dare bring the Nine Heaven Alliance. Your brotherly love is truly touching, enough to bring tears to one's eyes." Kwon Min-kung glanced at the person behind and asked, "Has the Heavenly Dragon Society arrived?" The Heavenly Dragon Society leader behind replied, "They're probably dealing with the aftermath, they'll be here soon." Ji Young-who on the city wall gripped his sword hilt and shouted, "Those insects' lives will be repaid handsomely." His subordinates behind him also shouted towards the city, "Everyone prepare for battle." But at that moment, Ji Young-who told them to stop. "Open your eyes and watch carefully. Remember exactly what happens when you dare to challenge Ji Young-who, the leader of the Northern Heavenly Alliance, so that future generations will know my reputation." A man anxiously shouted, "But the enemy is too numerous, facing them alone, I'm afraid." Before he could finish, Ji Young-who leaped forward. Without a hint of fear, he charged towards the city gate. The man, panicked, shouted to those behind him, "When will Baek Mu-jin finally return?" Still no news. Another person replied, "We've sent Seo Mun-guk and Ju Jeon to find him, but they've also lost contact." Hearing this, he gritted his teeth and cursed inwardly, "Damn it, Baek Mu-jin, where the hell are you? If you're coming back, please hurry." Outside the city, Ji Young-who was slaughtering wildly. The fresh blood splattering on him made the smile on his face even more ferocious. Meanwhile, Baek Mu-jin was still moving at high speed. While running, he suddenly opened his eyes wide. Because what met his eyes was a scene of devastation with corpses lying everywhere. He stopped and surveyed his surroundings. This is the territory of the Northern Heavenly Alliance, has war broken out. I have a bad feeling about this. Thinking that, he continued to dash forward. A group of people were moving around, slaughtering the survivors. The leader loudly ordered, "Leave no survivors, anyone still alive, kill them." At that moment, something whizzed past them. That person was none other than Baek Mu-jin. The people were shocked speechless as he passed. What just flew by? It was incredibly fast. Quickly report back to the leader. It seems he is aided by either the Orthodox Path or the Beatley clan. A moment later, somewhere else, Baek Mu-jin was hiding in the forest, counting. He counted about 200 people. He frowned thoughtfully. They were heading north. Could they be declaring war on the Northern Heavenly Alliance? Thinking that, he increased his speed and dashed forward. Very quickly, he encountered another battlefield. Did someone get here before them? Could that be the Northern Wind Sword team? It's too late. At that moment, a voice calling for Baekda appeared. Baek Mu-jin startled, turning his head to look. He quickly rushed over. Seeing the person lying on the ground, he recognized it was Ju Jeon. "What happened? Who did this?" Ju Jeon replied, "The Nine Heavens Alliance. I went with Seo Mun-guk to look for Baekda and seek outside aid, then." Baek Mu-jin frowned. "Brother Seo Mun also." Ju Jeon reassured him, "Fortunately, it seems Brother Seo Mun escaped." Baekda, at that point, he breathed his last. Baek Mu-jin laid him down, clenching his teeth. "Brother Ju, it's only been a few days, rest in peace, Brother Ju." At that moment, someone shouted from behind, "Is here, we found him." Baek Mu-jin slowly stood up. Someone warned, "He's a master, be careful." Baek Mu-jin said coldly, "You're looking for me." Zhongshan stepped forward and shouted, "Get out of the way, what's there to be careful about? He's just a nobody, kill him." Icy energy instantly appeared in Baek Mu-jin's palm. The people were astonished to see him using ice-based techniques. Baek Mu-jin raised his hand. The icy energy formed into a flower and flew up. The people were even more surprised. "What's that? It's a flower." Baek Mu-jin looked at them with sharp eyes. He then clenched his fist. The flower instantly shattered into countless small pieces of ice. He then swung his arm. The ice turned into a rain of hidden weapons, shooting straight down at the crowd. Only Zhongshan was able to block it with a weapon. His subordinates were almost completely wiped out. He laughed with amusement. "This ice-throwing game is quite fun." A terrified voice behind him warned, "Zhongshan, we need reinforcements to win this, we must call the leader." Baek Mu-jin reached for his sword hilt. "Leader or reinforcements, call them all." He then drew his sword. "I will kill them all without leaving a single one alive."